Your home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
Sacktown Sports.
Yes, yes, yes. The first beam of 2025. The Kings are undefeated in 2025. Allen Stiles, Sacramento Sports, taking you up to 2 p.m. Kyle Ledbetter, fresh from his New Year's Eve partying, is in the house as well. We have a great show for you today, and a lot of that is because we're going to hear from you. You know how we get down. 916-339-1140. How are you feeling about your Sacramento Kings? I'll tell you this much. The Sacramento Kings are taking care of business. Now, I know on the outside looking in, you could say, hey, they beat a team, and I'm that guy, right? I'm normally that guy. They beat a team that was missing 4 starters in the Dallas Mavericks. And then they beat a team last night that was missing their best player. They tend to always be missing their best player, but they were missing their best player in Joel Embiid. But you know what? That hasn't stopped the Kings from losing these games in the past. The Kings typically lose these games, and they put themselves in a situation where it looked pretty bad. The Sixers were rolling. You had Paul George doing his thing. What do you have? 19 points in the first quarter, first half. It was ridiculous. No Keegan Murray to help. You got Gershon Yabusele taking care of business. You're thinking, what is going on? Okay, the Kings won this game against the Mavericks G League team, and now we're back to reality. But no, the Sacramento Kings said, we're not going to let it happen again. Doug Christie said, we're not going to let it happen again. It's not going to be 1 step forward, 2 steps back, or 1 step back. We're going to build this momentum. We are going to show everybody who we are, what we're made of, and the fact that we can do what we're supposed to do. And that's exactly what they did. Keon Ellis gets entered into the starting lineup. He takes a good bit of the Keegan Murray defensive duties. He tried his best on Paul George. He's given up some size there. But they scrapped, and they clawed, and they scratched, and they found a way to get the W. They pitch a shutout, 15-0, to close the game in order to do so. The Sacramento Kings did that. The same team that had been blowing these types of games throughout the season and even going back to last season. The same team who fouled a 3-point shooter giving up a 4-point play. By the way, thinking good thoughts for Jaden Ivey. He had a bad injury yesterday. The same team that blew that ridiculous game to the Denver Nuggets in an unthinkable way. This team is now pitching a shutout to end the game, and DeMar DeRozan, who has been a bit of a liability on defense, 2 steals to close out the game? This can't be the same team. And Trey Lyles showing up game after game after game. Has been a couple games, so I can't add that last game. Showing up again, double-digit scoring for the second game in a row, playing 31 minutes? This cannot be the same team. You had Domantas Sabonis, 21 rebounds. Now, that's the same Domantas Sabonis that we know. 17 points. And you're watching the game thinking, when did he get 17 points? When did he get 7 assists? This isn't the same DHO type offense that we've seen. It looks more free-flowing. Remember NBA Street on PlayStation 2? Looks more like that at times, but with more structure. DeMar DeRozan, 18 points, but he let the game come to him. I don't really recall seeing that many. Everyone get out the way, and DeMar's going to pump fake 18 times, and everyone else. We're not seeing a lot of that, but he still had 18 points. De'Aaron Fox, 35 points, going up against another Kentucky guard. He goes up against a Kentucky guard, it seems like every other day. But going up against a Tyrese Maxey, who I love. he's a bad man. He's young. De'Aaron Fox said, I got something for you. 35 points. Malik Monk, 20 points, 6 assists. And he did it without making a three-pointer, 0 for 5. But Malik Monk, 10 for 10 from the free throw line. They shot 91.7% from the free throw line. The Sacramento Kings did. Now, I know they've been shooting the ball well from the free throw line this season, but they're continuing to do it. DeMar DeRozan, 4 for 4. De'Aaron Fox, 7 for 8. Malik, 10 for 10. That's how you take care of business. And yes, the craziest part about this is that the same issues that the Kings have had throughout the season, they still had, but they won the game. They still only had 14 bench points. 14 bench points. Eric Gordon had 14 by himself. Andre Drummond had 10. They had 14 bench points. They still only shot 29% from three. The same issues they had. So, still no bench production, not a ton. Kevin Huerter had 2 points. 29% from three, still can't shoot threes. Trey Lyles, 4 for 8. Keon Ellis, 3 for 8. But they won the game. How did they do it? What is the biggest difference? Is it simply the voice? Is it simply Doug Christie and the fact that he played and the fact that he wears this city on his sleeve? Is it that? Are there X's and O's involved? Are the rotations different? That's what we're going to talk about on this show today. The feeling of when you're watching this team, does it look different to you? And what exactly looks different to you? Is it just the energy? Is it Keon Ellis getting 4 steals? DeMar DeRozan with 2. Malik Monk with 1. Trey Lyles with 2 steals. Doug McDermott found a way to get a steal. Alex Len got a steal. They had 11 steals. So what exactly is different? Is it just Doug Christie's voice? Is it the way he carries himself? Is it the way he explains things? Are there X's and O's involved? Now look, as the days pass, I don't want to spend too much time on Mike Brown. I feel like business is business. Whether you agree with it or not, the Kings have a job to do. I have a job to do. We all have a job to do. You can't cry over spilled milk. Now it's a matter of the Kings making sure that it is true that they made the right decision. And as of right now, kind of seems like they have. Kind of seems like they have. Trying to put our finger on things today on what exactly is the difference. Now, as I say, I don't want to talk too much about Mike Brown anymore, and I'm ready to turn the chapter. And it was a great chapter in the Kings book. It really was. He didn't have this Trey Lyles. He didn't have Trey Lyles at all, really. He was unable to stay healthy. And Trey Lyles, what we've seen these last couple days from Trey Lyles, these last couple games, that's what the Trey Bays were on. That's why the Trey Bays were created. This is what we saw from Trey Lyles' Beam Team season. We have not seen this Trey Lyles. We didn't really even see him too much last season. He dealt with injury. And this season as well. But he is the X factor. He opens everything up. He takes a lot of stress off multiple positions. He takes stress off DeMar DeRozan. He takes stress off Domantas Sabonis. That is the guy that the Kings have been missing, and not just literally on the court, how he's been playing. So Mike Brown didn't have that. So for us to sit here and say, oh, well, Doug is riding the hot hand more, that's not to say that I can't necessarily say that Mike Brown would or wouldn't have. He didn't have the opportunity. And unfortunately, that's just how the cookie crumbles. Shout out Crumble Cookies. So as we continue to move on past the Mike Brown chapter, and we look at what Doug's been given, it's not Mike's fault. It's not Doug's fault. Trey Lyles is playing better. Everybody's been wanting it. Everybody's been hoping for it. So Trey Lyles opens things up. Doug McDermott finding a way to be a part of the action, even though he was 0 for 2 from 3. Kevin Huerter doing Kevin Huerter things, and I know we joke about it, he still managed to get 5 rebounds. Trey Lyles had 7 rebounds. So even though some of these guys, points-wise, you want to see more, you're still getting something out of them. But ultimately, the bottom line is they found a way to win. And the Kings do not win that game last week. I don't care if Phil Jackson was coaching. I don't care if Eric Spoelstra. They do not win that game. Not where they were. So that's not an indictment on Mike Brown, in my opinion. Now, some could argue maybe they do win with a different coach last week. But where they were mentally, sometimes, as I talked about N64, Ken Griffey Jr. Baseball, sometimes you just got to hit the reset. And that's what the Kings have done. Now, we've seen this before with other teams where you hit that reset, it lasts about a week, couple weeks, and then the same issues pop up. That's what we're waiting to see. This initial excitement, we thought we were going to get it in LA, a little bit delayed. We saw it a couple nights ago against the honestly, it didn't show up till the second half, to be completely honest. So it took a game and a half for the Kings to have that initial, we're going to ride for our new coach. But you saw it in the second half against the Mavericks, and you saw it last night. How long will it last? Can it last the whole season? Is it just going to last a couple games? Is it over? Are we going to be watching them play tomorrow, as we'll highlight the Grizzlies, who they had another team they had a bad loss to, John Morant out the last 5 minutes of the game. What will they do next? And who are they going to be throughout this process? You still got questions about the roster. Like I said, 14 points off the bench still ain't good enough. It's not cutting it. Keegan Murray misses time, and you have nobody really, and Keon Ellis did his darndest. You have nobody. And here's the thing. A team like that, fine. Just limit the damage. If Paul George is going to cook, cool. But you can't let Paul George cook and Tyrese Maxey cook. So they were able to say, hey, one of them can cook at a time, but you have to find a way to limit the damage, and that's what the Kings have done. So throughout this show today, we talk about the Kings getting it done. We close the Mike Brown chapter. No Keegan, no problem. Team still looking at De'Aaron Fox. We reevaluate the Kings and what we think we're going to see from them. And we hear from what Sam Amick had to say and who are they're targeting. And last but not least, we will get into some NFL talk with the young QBs, what to make of these sophomore slumps. Great one coming up for you. First show of 2025, Allen Stiles Show, Sacramento Sports.
All guests and callers join us from the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
You never know what you might hear when listening to a Sacramento Kings game.
Out of Keegan, going for another triple. Man, is he feeling it. Keegan, can he do it? Yes, there's number 11, Keegan Murray. Keegan steps back. He just knocked down his 12th three-pointer, a Kings franchise record. He's got 45 points.
Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with Sacktown Sports and the Sacktown Sports app.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave coming to you from my good friends at American Energy. Look, it's already cold outside. It's only going to get colder. American Energy wants to help you stay warm and make sure your system is operating safely. So right now is the time to take advantage of the $49 tune-up inspection. Normally $119, $49 right now, and that includes a full safety and duct inspection. And check it out. If your system's over 10 years old, and I'll bet it is, the tune-up, yeah, it's free. It's free from a company that's been in business since 1981, serving the greater Sacramento area. A+ Better Business Bureau. Check their Yelp, check their Google reviews. Don't take my word for it. Give them a call right now. $50 off your first recommended repair. If you need a new furnace, half off the price of a new unit. Check them out at theaeway.com and tell them Carmichael Dave sent you.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
Your home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
Sacktown Sports.
Kings are back. Feels like the Kings are back. Great stuff there, Sacramento Kings. Everybody is feeling it. And, sometimes it's good. They are undefeated in 2025. We saw the first beam of 2025. Doug Christie is 2-1 now as the interim head coach. And, sometimes it's good to just play into who you are, right? There have been times where I'm always the funny guy and I talk a lot.
You are?
I talk a lot. Well, I think I am. Sometimes some people might not think I am funny.
You're saying you're like this all the time, even when you're not on the microphone?
Talk to my family. Talk to my friends and family. And there are times where, I don't know, the more brooding type guy, right? When we were being high school or college, oh man, I want to be more brooding, right? I want to be that quiet guy that is just a little mysterious. And I would tell myself that. I would say, I'm not going to be the jokester today. I'm going to be more quiet and cool. It'll last about a couple hours because I had to be who I am. And somebody says something, I think it's funny, I add on to the joke. And then I get mad at myself. I go to bed. Alan, you're supposed to be brooding today, not class clown. You're supposed to be brooding.
So you know how
today.
People talk about like introverted extroverts or me, I'm an extroverted introvert.
Mm-hmm.
Are you just extroverted extrovert?
I believe so.
Okay, got it.
No matter how much I try to fight it. And sometimes you just got to lean into who you are. And the one thing that I appreciate from Doug Christie is right now he's just leaning into who he is, right? He's not trying to play any type of role where it's okay as a head coach, I need to do this, I need to do that. I'm just who I am. And I love the city. I rep the city. And I'm about togetherness. I'm about positive vibes. And this is how I'm going to approach things. And if you don't like it, tough. So the Sacramento Kings posted this video last night. And basically, Doug Christie, it seems like they're doing their post-game meeting, but they're doing it from on top of the roof where they can see the beam. So they give out their DPOG crown. They say a couple words. Coach Lyles says a couple words. And then after they give out the crown, they have some fun with it. Doug Christie says some words, and here it is.
Y'all are the light of this city, man. And when you like that, it means something to people. You understand what I'm saying? And when you come and rock the way that you guys is rocking, you're going to continue to lift them, and that's what we're here to do. So continue to be that light. Coaches, everybody in this one.
Yes, sir.
Hey, what you got, Five?
Keep it going. Together on three. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
So they took a picture, and they had, everybody from that team was in the picture. The vibes do seem to be changing. They do seem to be vibing. And at the end of the day, Doug Christie is just being exactly who you would think Doug Christie would be. And as simple as that sounds, that type of stuff matters. That type of stuff matters. And maybe, just maybe, as we have this sound from Doug Christie as well, this is from the pregame presser, maybe a city like Sacramento just needs a guy at the helm that at the end of the day, just rides for the city. Yes, well, and that's not when we do the player coach thing or the rah guy thing, a lot of times that means or that comes off like a guy doesn't know X's and O's. We're not saying that. We're saying that there is something added that certain teams and certain personalities may need that little push. And as we've looked all around, this team needs a bulldog. This team needs this. This team needs that. Maybe that bulldog as the coach can help this team get where they need to go. This is what he had to say in the pregame presser.
Don't nobody come in your house messing with your stuff. You feel what I'm saying? This is where we reside. And when you come up in here, you're going to feel us up in here. And that's just the way it is. It doesn't matter. Like, there's nothing like your home. These people deserve that, and that's what we're going to give them.
Again, the message and how he's delivering it seems to be resonating. We are a couple games in now, and I don't even really want to count the Laker game. It's going to count. It counts. But we're a couple games in here, and with more than 24 hours of preparation, Doug Christie hasn't lost a game. And I know that's where we're
manipulating.
Yes, we're manipulating. So what? Okay? With more than a couple hours to prepare for a game this team hasn't lost.
While playing against teams with combined 0 all-stars on the floor.
That's fair. That's all fair. And every game is going to be a test. Tomorrow night against the Grizzlies is going to be a test. And then you know where they go next. They go to the Bay. And that's going to be another test as well. So this is exactly what we've been hoping to see. And it's funny because the X's and O's of it, as far as the way they shot the basketball, the way they did not score off the bench, same issues, different results. So now you think, okay, well, if you can win a game like this, we keep on saying once the shooting comes around, and maybe it will, maybe it won't. But at the same time, now you're seeing they can win in different ways. And we have seen that offensively, their shooting from the three has stunk, but if they can shore up some of the other things, they got a shot. Now, we know they are, 4 games under 500 still. They still have a long way to go, but the building blocks. And I know this has probably been said in 1,000 different cities, 1,000,000 different times when an interim coach comes in and we're going to ride for this guy. Remember when sorry, Raider fans, and I'm one of them, so I can say it. Remember when Jeff Saturday beat the Raiders?
Oh, that was so
Remember
funny.
that? So we've seen stuff like this before. Jeff Saturday is not an NFL coach right now. So we've seen stuff like this before. But dang it, I'm going to ride this wave as long as I can. Because how many weeks did we sit here talking about the negative stuff? So I'm going to ride this as long as we can. So some of the X's and O's that we've seen from Mike Brown, there's the first one, from Doug Christie as coach. Some of the differences that we've seen. DeRozan, we've seen him a bit less. Sabonis, his usage, in my opinion, it looks less. Not that it is any less. I mean, he had 7 assists, 21 rebounds, 17 points, but it just looks different. Brendan Nunes had this to say last night. This was when the Kings were not playing as well. Christie has been subbing out Fox and DeRozan together as the first rotation in these games. So there's a difference right there. Brendan went on to say, but I don't think it fits well when they come back in and run with bench guys. Fox thrives playing fast. DeRozan is best playing in the half court. So that was one difference. So we've seen a couple differences. And at the very least, we can say that Doug Christie is trying new stuff. He was already in charge of the substitutions. So these aren't moves that he's doing haphazardly. These are moves that maybe we would have seen even if a coaching change hadn't happened.
Can I throw a stat at you to support your Sabonis assertion?
Yes.
Even though he's taking about the same number of shots per game, he was averaging 14 with Mike, 15 in the last 2 games. He has scored 34 points and posted 37 rebounds. He has more rebounds than points in the last 2 games, both of which have been double-doubles.
And you can see it. Right? It doesn't feel like they're avoiding Domantas Sabonis, but whether it's Domantas Sabonis or DeMar DeRozan, it just feels like we're getting closer to that more free-flowing offense that we've seen before. And again, I keep going back to it. So much of this is based on Trey Lyles. So much of this is based on Trey Lyles. Let's continue to talk about the differences that we've seen on the other side. We're going to open up the phone lines. Got a couple on the line right now. We will hear from you celebrating the first beam of 2025. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
You never know what you might hear when listening to a Sacramento Kings game.
Out of Keegan, going for another triple. Man, is he feeling it. Keegan, can he do it? Yes, there's number 11, Keegan Murray. Keegan steps back. He just knocked down his 12th three-pointer, a Kings franchise record. He's got 45 points.
Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with Sacktown Sports and the Sacktown Sports app.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Drapes, Kyle Draper from Mercedes-Benz of Stockton. I've had my all-electric SUV for a little more than a year, and I continue to love it day after day. In fact, me and my daughter, we were just on vacation not too long ago, and we rented a car while we were on the trip, and my daughter said, Dad, I like your car better. I turned to her and said, honey, you know what? I like it better as well, and I couldn't wait to get back home to my Mercedes-Benz EQS SUV. You know, at Mercedes-Benz of Stockton, they are more than just a dealership. They're a partner you can trust throughout the entire ownership of your luxury vehicle. Whether it's a refined C-Class or a versatile SUV lineup, your perfect Mercedes-Benz is there waiting for you. Plus, right now, you can enjoy 3.24% APR for up to 72 months on certified pre-owned models on approved credit. Mercedes-Benz of Stockton is your trusted partner in luxury and reliability, and they've been doing it for more than 30 years. So head on down right now to Mercedes-Benz of Stockton or online anytime at mbofstockton.com. That's mbofstockton.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group. And I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney. And the truth is, I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney or if I look like an attorney, I apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. At Wesley, we've helped over 40,000 families cancel their timeshare without me being an attorney. And I want to share with you how we do it. Just give my office a call, and you will not talk to an attorney. And I guarantee if we take you as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit. Call 800-885-3663. That's 800-885-3663. 800-885-3663.
The PGA Club Fitters at the Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio know that golf should be fun. They also know that players of all abilities will hit the ball farther and straighter, play better golf, shoot lower scores, and have more fun if they get fitted before they purchase golf clubs. Hagen Oaks delivers the same technology and major brands used to fit PGA and LPGA professionals. See how the game can be even more fun. Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio fittings are available 7 days a week. Make yours today by calling 916-808-2531. That's 808-2531.
Happy New Grill. Whitey here reminding you that not all grills are created equal. Give your family a real treat as we did on Christmas Eve. Bring out all the flavors of the new year with the amazing Napoleon Prestige line of outdoor cookers. Napoleon grills have features other grills can't match. They're built different, built better, built to last. Complete with a lifetime warranty and premium steel that boasts absolute quality. Whitey and Napoleon Grills wish you Happy New Year. Visit Green Acres Nursery today for your best selection of Napoleon grills and accessories.
No two people learn the exact same way. So how did Babbel become the award-winning language learning app? We thought of you, all of you. Take Sierra. As a visual learner, she uses Babbel's wordplay videos.
Today I'll share a quick lesson on shopping in French.
Merci beaucoup. Keith is a be in the room with real people kind of learner. So he loves the live online classes with our language experts.
Okay, class. Vos está pronto.
Estamos prontos.
However you learn, Babbel makes it easy. Try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now it's our lowest price of the season on our top-selling i8 smart bed. Your best savings, plus free home delivery with an adjustable base. Exclusively at a Sleep Number store near you. All Sleep Number smart beds offer temperature solutions for your best sleep. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
There's a reason why more and more people are coming from all over to Sacramento Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Folsom, Elk Grove, Woodland, Roseville. And it's not just because they're centrally located next to Hagen Oaks Golf Course. It's because they make the car buying experience different than anywhere else. Yeah, of course they can get you a great price. That's the easy part. Where their general manager, Chuck Dean, and his team really make a difference is they don't believe you should have to sacrifice great customer service to get a great deal. Stomp on in today and see for yourself. That's Sacramento Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. It's the place where a handshake still means something.
Your flagship station for the Bean Team, Sacktown Sports.
It feels so good to be back. I'm back. Allen Stiles Show, Sacktown Sports, taking it to 2 p.m. Kings are back, or are they? Question mark. That's what we're trying to figure out. And can you figure it out as the Kings are playing teams like the Mavs. I don't want to call them G League. That's disrespectful to Spencer Dinwiddie and
as we
PJ Washington.
said on Tuesday, the worst team the Kings have played all season.
It's only disrespectful to those two guys, though. And I guess Daniel Gafford.
And Maxi Kleber.
No. It's just those.
Screw Maxi Kleber, that's what you're saying?
It's just those three. And I'll tell you this much. They do not win last night. Not last week, they don't. You can take that however you want to take it. You could take that the coach route. You could take that the player route, especially with no Keegan Murray. They definitely don't. And Paul George still went off. Kyle, you and I were talking about it during the break. First half, they were trying to rotate and give Paul George different looks. It didn't matter. He was cooking.
Yeah, I found this stat while I was just doing my notes is that so Paul George scored 20 plus points in the first half for the first time as a Philadelphia 76er. He's played 888 regular season games in his career. That was only the 46th time in his entire career he's scored 20 points in the first half.
And honestly, prop talk, he was set at 19 and a half. That was probably the lock of the game. I mean, we've seen when Keegan doesn't play, whoever that forward is just goes off.
But I also get why you're hedging your bet on Paul George. He wears number 8 for the Sixers now, and I was watching the game, and I was like, why is Jahlil Okafor back on the Sixers?
So it looked like he was going to go for about 50. The Kings hunker down, and they're able to get it done. Let's hear from Doug Christie. This is his, third post-game, second one at home now, where, again, his opening statement is you talk about the differences between two coaches. Again, another quick opening statement from Doug Christie before they get to questions. And Kyle, I'm sure, appreciates it cutting it, but here it is.
That is the type of fight that we expect on a night-to-night basis. I mean, listen, closing the game 15-0. During the timeout, I believe it was 107-98. And I challenged them to get 3 stops in a row. Luke offered up trapping because I believe we had 2 fouls to give, and then we ended up under 2 minutes still with 1, so it allowed us to just continue to be super aggressive, which was super big time. Across the board, so many guys came up huge. 18 points in the final quarter for them is, I mean, it's not going to happen every night, obviously, but that's what we want to be. 6 fast break points in the second half after 13 in the first. They locked in, and just, again, super proud of them.
Great stuff there from Doug Christie. And look, again, he's just, hey, we were able to lock down, and we'll hear from Domas a little bit later and what he said to the guys in the huddle. But the Kings were able to really just lock down on the defensive end and just figure the rest out, right? Trust your star, De'Aaron Fox. He goes for 35. Trust your star, and everything else will fall into place. The Kings had 5 guys in double figures. Keon Ellis had 9, so he was right there. And they trusted their star and figured the rest out. Let's open up the phone lines now, 916-339-1140. Got 2 of our faithfuls joining us here in 2025. Got Dwayne and TC. Let's start with Dwayne. Wants to be part of the conversation. What's up, Dwayne? What you got for us?
Hey, what's up, Allen? Happy New Year, man.
Happy New Year, man. Happy New Year.
So here's what I said yesterday. I didn't put any value on the Maverick win. None. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think Drapes and especially Jay had an issue with that. But I also said that if we beat the Sixers last night, then we got, there's the light, man. That 15-0 run, those guys woke up and thought to themselves, we don't want that feeling again. That feeling that they've been having, blowing games, 4-point plays, just awful. So I think it just kicked in on the man code and just they turned up.
Yeah.
Right? Now the roster still has to get balanced, especially in the West. So that's still the main issue. I'm still waiting, bro. Finney Smith got traded, so Cam Johnson can go get guys.
Yeah.
So I want us to go get Cam. This is the trade I want. Now this is video game GM. It probably don't make sense, but
okay.
I'm just trying to make a point, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to trade Keegan Murray, Kevin Huerter, and the rookie Carter for Cam Johnson and Ben Simmons.
Well, the Ben, yeah, and great stuff, Dwayne. I would say this. I'd have to look at the numbers. I know Ben's making a lot of money, but I believe Kyle's going to work in 2025. I believe he might be expiring or a buyout, something like that. So I'm sure that's why Dwayne's bringing him up. Not a crazy idea. You probably throw a first on, and it feels like too much for the Kings, but without a first, probably doesn't feel like enough for the Nets. I'll say this. Sam Amick was on the morning show earlier today, and we have that sound for you. Right now, it sounds like Cam Johnson, what they want, and this is why in the crosstalk, when I was talking with Jason, I said, what do you value more, Keegan Murray or a first-round pick or a future first-round pick? Because it sounds like this is something like that is being discussed with the Nets, and that's why the quote from Sam Amick, and again, we'll play this a little bit later in the show. Brooklyn and the Kings have had pretty extensive talks on that front, talking about Cam Johnson, and the quote continues, I think the Nets' asking price is still too rich for the Kings' blood. That's telling me it's one more pick than they want, or it's a Keegan Murray situation, something like that.
Just to Dwayne's point, no, there is no scenario where that trade could possibly be executed.
Because Ben makes too much money.
Yeah,
right?
Ben, it's like $62 million between the two of them.
That's a big yikes.
To your point about being too rich for their blood, if you ask our guy Evan Sidery, because it might take Devin Carter to get the deal over the edge. That's what it looks like the situation is, but again, I think that's just a byproduct of teams bidding on Cam Johnson. I don't know if we get to February, if as we talked about it last week, maybe a couple weeks ago, 10 teams are in on Cam Johnson now. By the time we get to February, I don't know if that number is going to stay 10. It might go down to 6 of those 10 still interested.
Like you would assume that the Lakers are now no longer in on Cam Johnson.
Yes.
You would assume. Why wouldn't you just try to figure out that?
I would assume they mentioned OKC as one of the teams. I don't think OKC is going to part with any of their core players in the midst of a 12-game win streak, or really anyone on the roster in the midst of a 12-game win streak.
So that we will definitely get more into that throughout the show. And I know that's the whole thing. You can like what you're seeing from the Kings, just like Dwayne said, but you understand and we understand that there was no Joel Embiid. The Kings are winning games, right? They're 2-1 in the Doug Christie era, but we understand that they haven't beat a Boston Celtics team or Oklahoma City Thunder team. They're beating who's in front of them, and that's all they can do. You look at how, and I want to say, for lack of a better term, lucky the Kings have been. I know they lost that Laker game, but you got to play the Lakers without LeBron. Then you played the Mavs team missing 4 starters. Then you played the Sixers, who you never know who's going to play for the Sixers. No Joel Embiid. There probably won't be a Ja Morant tomorrow. Okay, so they're getting opportunities to climb themselves out, and this is the only way that there is a path to them getting back into the play-in conversation, let alone the playoff conversation. But you can get hot, and the opportunities are there. They keep on playing teams that are missing their dudes.
To your point, our favorite game of if the Kings do this, they'll be this will come up later in the show.
Yes.
And I'll tell you exactly what their chances are.
Exactly. All right, let's get to TC 916-339-1140 if you want to be part of the conversation. TC, what you got for us?
Hey, Happy New Year's, man, Allen.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year, man.
Happy New Year. So, hey, I came on, I said my farewell to Mike, bro. Listen. This is how it is. We in a situation, we moving, we closing the book on Mike. Mike, thank you again, man. We love you, right? But we moving on with Doug. Doug is relating to these dudes because he played before. Nothing against Mike, but Doug, it's his spirit, bro. And the Warriors went through this. Allen, you can contest to this, bro. You was out there when the whole Mark Jackson and Steve Kerr. Sometimes it happens like that. Mike, we respect everything. Mike brought us up. You know how you raise somebody up? You raise them up and you say, you know what? This is all you could do for them because you can't do anything, and then they move on, and then somebody else come in and show them a new thing, and then they flourish, right? That's what happened in this situation, Kings fans. We all love Mike, but Mike built us up, brought us to a point where we need to be at, and Doug gonna finish the business. So we finna take off, Kings fans. Y'all get ready, bro. That's all I gotta say. Doug, I love everything about what's going on, how the team is responding and everything, bro. Right now the team is playing. I don't want to get off track and get Debbie Downer, but it makes Keegan expendable, bro. If the deal is holding up Cam Johnson for Keegan, Monty, you gotta pull that trigger today, bro.
Thanks for the call, TC. Happy New Year again to you. Yeah, we don't know. That was just me trying to read the tea leaves. But yes, watching the Kings last night, offensively, Keegan was not missed. I mean, I joked a couple days ago, does Keegan even look at the basket? Because a lot of times he doesn't. So it's a tough spot. He wasn't really given the runway, has changed a little bit, and we knew it was going to change. So we'll break down what this means for Keegan. We're trying to enjoy the win, but yeah, I mean, this team, the roster still has issues. So we'll break down what that means. As far as the Mark Jackson comparison, initially I didn't think it was the same because the Kings only had that one run in the postseason a couple years ago, and I guess you could call it the postseason last season when they lost in the play-in. But the Kings, you lose to the Warriors in the first round, and it wasn't like they were hitting their head up against something like the Warriors were for those couple years with Mark Jackson. So initially, I never thought that it was the same situation. But now that it's happened, I do understand the comparison and why people may it's easier to look at it now that it's happened, why people may think that, yeah, maybe Mike just took the Kings to a certain level. And again, once the message is not resonating, it's not about where you've taken this team or how far you think a coach can take a team. Once the message ain't resonating, it's time to move on. And that it all happened pretty quickly, and sometimes that's just how it goes. Speaking of that, we had some fun on New Year's Eve about Domantas Sabonis and how quick he was to answer how the Kings changed at halftime. Okay, and
going into the third quarter,
how quick he said Doug, and Doug is his guy.
Going into the third quarter,
Domas's post game again is a ringing endorsement to Coach Christie, and we have that sound for you on the other side. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
On the move? Got somewhere to be?
Take Sacramento Kings basketball with you. The Sacktown Sports app will let you stay connected to your passion. Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with the Sacktown Sports app.
Gain a global perspective and specialized skills that many of today's top employers are seeking with an MBA from University of Maryland Global Campus. Study online and complete your degree in just 16 months for about $21K. Choose from MBA specializations in global business, marketing, HR, finance, and more. Classes start January 8th. Apply now and save with no application fee. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chef.
Lowe's knows how to help you save time and money, no matter the job. That's why we can deliver supplies to your job site as soon as same day, so you have more time to get the job done. Because when you need it fast, we've got you covered. Lowe's knows pros. Valid on eligible in-stock orders and select zip codes placed by 2 p.m. for same-day delivery by 8 p.m. Subject to driver availability. Fees vary based on purchase. More terms apply. See Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for details.
No two people learn the exact same way. So how did Babbel become the award-winning language learning app? We thought of you, all of you. Take Sierra. As a visual learner, she uses Babbel's wordplay videos.
Today I'll share a quick lesson on shopping in French.
Merci beaucoup. Keith is a be in the room with real people kind of learner. So he loves the live online classes with our language experts.
Okay, class. ¿Vos está pronto?
Estamos prontos.
However you learn, Babbel makes it easy. Try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Out with the old year, in with the new ride at Toyotathon. Going on now. Get a low-cost lease on the 57 MPG Prius, or choose from great deals on 16 other Toyota hybrid cars, trucks, and SUVs, all featuring Toyota's legendary reliability, style, and fuel efficiency. Don't miss out on your chance to celebrate. The final days of Toyotathon are on now at your Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. Offer available through TFS to buyers with premium rated credit. Ends 1/6/25.
And the Kings are hoping to bring some new vibes into 2025. 209 on the text line says, you know, Allen, Kings always lose to teams that don't have their best players playing. So this is actually good. We have won these games. I know it well, 209. I know it well. And they are taking care of business. We have trade talk coming up in the 11 o'clock hour. A lot of people are talking about DeMar DeRozan. And why is nobody talking about moving DeMar? Well, somebody explain to me what DeMar DeRozan's value is, because I'm having trouble figuring that out.
Again, take a very specific team.
Yes. Again, it takes two to tango. Okay? It takes two to tango. So find me that team that values DeMar DeRozan.
Because again, over the summer when, again, 6 months ago, he hit free agency, it was like the Bulls didn't want him at $40 million. The Heat wanted him, but not at that asking price. He ended up signing with Sacramento. Are you going to go back to Miami and be like, you were the only other team in the bidding for him? Do you want him now?
And I think part of that is thinking that Jimmy's going to go. You're not going to have Jimmy and DeMar DeRozan on the same team.
Yeah.
There's no way.
And DeMar DeRozan is going to be a King for the next 2 seasons. Like, there is basically no chance they're going to trade DeMar DeRozan.
In my opinion, and this is why I got roasted on Twitter, but I do it was more about this season, but next season, DeMar could easily be a 6-man candidate, as he's going to be 36 at that point. So I just think that what DeMar brings, I think ownership likes the fact that DeMar is kind of a celebrity. I do think that matters. I think marketing matters. And you can tell when you walk into that arena and you hear Kendrick Lamar's whole album. So I think that there are a couple different reasons DeMar DeRozan won't get moved. And I'm being a little tongue-in-cheek with the Kendrick Lamar stuff. But ultimately, I just don't know how DeMar DeRozan is valued. And if the reports were that he got more money with the Kings than he would somewhere else, number one, you got to find a partner. And number two, what are they going to give back? Because they're not going to give you younger talent back.
Yeah, it would be a sell. You would be selling if you did that. And the Kings are not, at this stage of the game, sellers going up to the deadline. Now, if they make a big swing this offseason, maybe that changes the tune a little bit if the roster construction looks dramatically different. But if they're just tinkering within the margins right now, and there's no reason to tinker with a guy who's been a really good number 3. Like, I don't know what else to say about it. He's been a really good number 3, even though, when people signed him, they thought he was going to maybe be a number 2 scoring option.
And it definitely ain't happening before the trade deadline. I can tell you that much right now. So maybe, who knows what's going to happen in the offseason, but we have plenty of time to talk about that. Let's get back to what the Kings did last night. And again, this is Domantas Sabonis' guy. This is basically his personal coach, Doug Christie, who is now at the helm. And you can tell that they have a relationship. This is what Domantas Sabonis had to say in the postgame about how the Kings were able to pull it out.
What went through you guys' head? What was Doug preaching to you guys in those huddles?
I think we were down like 6 points with 3 minutes left, something like that. Doug called a timeout, and he said, let's get 3 stops in a row and win this game. And I guess we got stops the whole rest of the game.
Domas, you've watched De'Aaron's development and evolution here over the last 3 games, or 3 years rather.
Mm-hmm.
DC talked pregame about how De'Aaron can be the best defender on this team, and the best defender, one of the best defenders in the league. The fourth quarter effort that he put in, plus Monk and DeRozan and everybody, just what have you seen from this team's growth defensively from your guards?
Just sticking with it, believing in what we're doing, and fighting for each other, and not getting tired. The most important part is we're fighting till the end. Even at the end, Debo getting that steal.
Yeah, I was going to mention Debo. Just how big were some of those moments defensively that he came up with?
Big. These are moments that a shot can go in, anything can happen. We've seen it all year. And us just to not even let him get a shot up. Is big time.
Yeah.
That was Domantas Sabonis talking about some of the defense, but he leads it by saying Doug said to get 3 stops. Now again. And I know everyone at the station is just clamoring to have Coach Christie on the show with his background here at the station. And I know where I fall on the totem pole, but I am hoping to get him at some point in time. But again, the stuff that he's saying, it's just resonating. This isn't stuff that I'm sure these guys have never heard before, but it's the way he's delivering it that right now it's in for them. I would imagine it's not the first time, whether it be Mike Brown or whoever, said, guys, if we get stops, we'll win the game. If we get 3 stops in a row. Now, maybe it's more of sectioning things off or segmenting things off, and they keep on talking about, I will say this, as we're discussing the differences between Coach Christie and Coach Mike Brown, simplifying the game. So maybe literally it's, hey, we got to get stops. This is all speculation. Hey, we got to get stops versus guys. We get 3 stops, we win this game, right? I don't know. But I do think there could be something to just oversimplifying everything for these dudes.
Well, there's another part of it, too, specifically in the fourth quarter that they did differently that wasn't the case before, and that's Keon Ellis.
Mm-hmm.
And Keon Ellis playing the whole way down the stretch. He played 37 minutes and finished with a 98 defensive rating when he was on the floor, which, for reference, there is no player in the league where their team is better on defense than what Keon Ellis did last night over a whole season. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's number 1 in the league at 102 defensive rating when he's on the floor. Keon Ellis was better than that last night. He had an amazing game defensively, and it was the focal point of everything they were doing down the stretch, between holding Philadelphia to 18 points in the fourth quarter or getting those stops down the stretch. Having Keon Ellis on the floor clearly impacted their defense down the stretch.
And look, there were question marks, right? There was some back and forth. I don't need to get into the details, but with how Keon was being, I guess, perceived, right, from the fan standpoint, media standpoint versus the coach's standpoint. I think the bottom line is you are not good enough to keep Keon out based on the fact that Keon's not perfect, right? He'll fumble the ball sometimes. Sometimes he's a little hectic or a little scared to shoot, if you will. But you need him out there now, based on how the team is currently constructed, especially when you don't have Keegan Murray. 916-339-1140. Let's get to Joey, who's been waiting, wants to be part of the conversation. What's up, Joey? What you got for us?
Hey, Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year.
Thank you. So what my question is although Mike Brown got fired for the tools that he was given, and any man who's ever used tools, we have a saying, you're only as good as your tools are, right? Why isn't anybody ever saying anything about Monty McNair? Although Mike Brown was saying we need this, we need that, and it seemed like Monty McNair just went ahead and ignored it and did it his way.
Yeah.
So I'm confused there why the scapegoat was Mike Brown and no fingers were pointed to Monty McNair, since he's the one actually pulling the strings.
Yeah, great question, Joey, and thanks for the call. Happy New Year. Well, definitely fingers have been pointed at Monty McNair from the public perception, whether it's media, fans. I think a lot of fingers have been pointed at Monty McNair. Now, obviously, we're not the ones that control whether somebody gets hired or fired. From Monty McNair's boss's perspective, they're in a tough spot because of the timing. So I think that Monty McNair is on a timeline. And if you ever, different companies you work at, somebody gets fired and that person's boss, if they can't figure it out, they're next in line. I think Mike Brown getting fired was just the first step. And the only thing I believe that's saving Monty McNair is just the timeline. We're about 5-ish weeks away from the trade deadline. We believe they're trying to convince De'Aaron Fox to stay. So Monty McNair is protected by that because they want to figure out, you just can't you're not going to bring in a GM with 5 weeks before the trade deadline. You're just not going to do that, or elevate the assistant GM. So I don't think that fingers haven't been pointed at Monty McNair. He's just been essentially protected because of the timeline. I think that we all can look at this roster and understand that it's not good enough. With that being said, this roster should not be 4 games under 500. So 2 things can be true. It's much easier to move off the coach, but I would say Monty McNair is definitely on the hot seat. If I'm Mr. Vivek, it's just a matter of they could, but they're not going to do something right now. You're going to give them an opportunity to take your budget that you gave them and see what they do there. And if nothing happens, if he's not able to pull something off, I think that Monty would be next in the summer. But just based on timing, I don't think that people aren't pointing fingers, but you're going to give them the opportunity because you're not going to try to onboard a new GM with 5 weeks left in the trade deadline. So that's how I think things went. But Monty is definitely on the hot seat as well. AC and Vinny, we see ya. We'll get you on the other side, 916-339-1140. If you want to be a part of the conversation, let's keep it going as we discuss your Sacramento Kings and how they are crawling themselves out of this cave. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
The only place you'll find Malik Monk is Sacktown Sports.
Oh my, what an athletic move that time by Malik Monk.
Hey Sacramento, it's Malik Monk and you're listening to the home of the Sacramento Kings, Sacktown Sports.
Your local sports leader.
How was your job to school?
Let me tell you, I had to get my iced coffee first. I just can't seem to put it down. My favorite rapper just announced a tour. My phone was buzzing like crazy. I'm so excited. I had to text all my friends right then to talk about it. Then someone started calling me and...
Let's try that again.
I turned my phone off right away. I never drive distracted.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
My mother faced the same challenges that I had growing up. She was smoking, so I started smoking too. My mom got sick. Seeing her on a breathing machine, I had to open my eyes. Do I want to be another product of my environment or help change the world?
Keenan ended the cycle of nicotine addiction in his family. You can too. For free support, text Kick Nicotine to 66819 today.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-330-2929. 800-330-2929. 800-330-2929.
Lowe's knows how to help you save time and money, no matter the job. That's why we can deliver supplies to your job site as soon as same day, so you have more time to get the job done. Because when you need it fast, we've got you covered. Lowe's knows pros. Valid on eligible in-stock orders and select zip codes placed by 2 p.m. for same-day delivery by 8 p.m. Subject to driver availability. Fees vary based on purchase. More terms apply. See Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for details.
The sewer system. It's probably the last thing on your mind, and that's okay. Because at the Sacramento Area Sewer District, it's our first priority. As the region's largest sewer utility, we own and maintain thousands of miles of sewer pipe. And our job is to get to your sewer problem before it interrupts your life. So whether you've got a slow drain or a backup, call us first, day or night. The Sacramento Area Sewer District. It's a dirty job, but we're happy to do it.
Serious accident. You deserve the law offices of Jeremy Winter. 877-637-3237. Jeremy lost his mother in a car accident and knows firsthand the pain caused by tragedy. That is why he became an attorney to fight for others who are going through a tragedy. If you've been seriously injured in an accident, you deserve more. You deserve better. You deserve Jeremy Winter. 877-637-3237.
Tom's Watch Bar, your ultimate sports watching destination for all Kings games, hosted live by Sacktown Sports. With 360-degree viewing, surround sound, premium food and drink, and game day vibes that match being at the game, Tom's Watch Bar is the ultimate game day experience for all Sacramento Kings fans.
KHD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
Sacramento's official home of the 49ers.
San Francisco.
Sacktown Sports, 1140. Your home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
Sacktown Sports.
We want the Monk. Gotta have the Monk. Malik Monk didn't have the three-point shot last night, but that didn't stop him from still making an impact. And that was kind of a microcosm of the game with all of the Kings players. Malik Monk 0 for 5 from 3, still put up 20 points, was a plus 15, 6 assists, 1 steal.
And the biggest one, 8 for 8 from the free throw line in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, in the fourth quarter. 8 for 8, 10 for 10 in total. Kings shot 91.7% from the free throw line. So everybody, I know that it was a team win thing that's overused, but this truly was a team win. Everybody involved did something to contribute to the victory, and you could feel the momentum in the building shifting. And on the text line, UPS Chris wants to give some love to Kings fans from the 916. Took my son to the game last night. For being a team 4 games under 500, let me just say it was loud in there and felt like a playoff game. Go Kings, light the beam. Yeah, the Kings fan base, I mean, I know everyone says, you know, when you're you go to a show, what's up, Sacramento? You're the best fans out there, right? And then a music, you know, artist says that everywhere they go. But I can say this. From sitting in the media section, every time the Kings have a home game and the away media is sitting there, I got small ears, but they're very acute, okay? I can hear the media talking and enjoying themselves at the games. Even in the midst of all this garbage that's been happening, they are impressed at how Scott Moak takes care of his business. Scott Freshour takes care of his business. The whole production out there at the Golden One Center, and most importantly, the fans. So it's not just everybody thinks that they have the best fan thing. I can tell you from objective viewers that this is their opportunity to come out to Sacramento and see what all the fuss is about. They're leaving impressed. And that is thanks to the great people of Sacramento and Sacramento Kings fans. 916-339-1140, about to get to the phone lines. And, you know, I was thinking about this and how life is just about timing. And you ask yourself the question, would the Kings be winning these close games if Doug was the coach to start the season? And the answer is that nobody really knows. But because of where they're coming from and the timing of all of that, life is about right place, right time. And the Kings are starting to take care of business in part because of how much they struggled. Jason Ross said during his show that obviously you wish the Kings were in a better spot, but their backs are up against the wall. They have no choice. They know what's on the line. And allowing them to continue to be, like I kept saying, a dead man walking. And, okay, a trade hasn't been made yet, and it seems like Cam Johnson might be too expensive. They missed out on Dorian Finney-Smith. They got no second-round picks. But we have to do something. So they removed the head coach. Oh, in that locker room, they're not bleeping around. We got to win some games. And Doug Christie taking this job, yeah, they're not bleeping around. If I don't take care of business, this interim thing will be just that. And I want to show who I am. So, you know, whether it's a martyr or whatever you want to call it, something had to happen to say, yeah, guys, you're still feeling a little bit too comfortable. You cannot blow games or things will change. And if you're the reason that we're losing, we're just trying to figure out what the reason is, we will ship you out too. And that probably wouldn't have gotten to that point without moving on from Mike Brown. So when we say they probably lose this game last week, that's not even really a Mike Brown thing. It's just the fact that now they know you're on life support. This thing is on life support. What's up, Kyle? You got your mic's muted.
That's because I turned it down for the callers. They were down so bad last week that the Sacramento Kings probably lost. I mean, the Pistons game, they were up 14 and they blew it. I don't think last night was the biggest win of the season. Certainly not, but it's the biggest win in 4 weeks.
I would say so.
That'd probably be the closest thing. They didn't win a lot of games in the last 4 weeks, but they've won 2 in a row at home now. And I realized this when they showed it on the broadcast last night. The Kings have played more home games than any other team in the league this year. So with a lot of tough games coming up, a lot of them on the road, it was good to now get back to a slightly underachieving but more respectable 8-12 at home.
Yes. And again, a lot remains to be seen with this team, but we love to just enjoy the moment, and that's exactly what we're trying to do. And of course, we'll talk trades and things like that. But you gotta in the first show of 2025, you gotta enjoy the moment because man, am I happy that we are talking about a W and not an L. Vinny and AC, we see you on the line 916-339-1140. Let's start with Vinny. Wants to be part of the conversation. What's up, Vinny? What you got for us?
Hey, good afternoon, guys. Good afternoon. Thanks for taking my call.
Of course.
Hey, I just wanted to make one or 2 points real quick on some points I don't think really are being highlighted. First, with Monty, I think that was a great move. I applaud him on not being stuck to his dispositions as far as who he hired. He saw things weren't going the right way, and he made a move. I was one of these Malik Monks need to start guys a while ago. I'm glad that he's starting now, but Mike's reluctancy to make that move that obviously made the team better, I think served a lot in his perception and Monty wanting to get rid of him. You know, bouncing off the analogy the other guy put as far as the tools, is one thing to say you don't have the tools or you're as good as your tools, but if you ask him for more expensive tools and we get a new coach in here and he's knowing how to use those tools,
right?
That's a whole different conversation.
Yeah. Thanks for the call, Vinny. Great stuff. Yeah, I'm struggling with the Malik Monk thing because I understood what Mike Brown's thought process was. And I'm sure you do too, Vinny. The thought process was we don't have anything coming off the bench. So if we remove Malik, we won't have anything coming off. We will have even less. And it's not, and here's the thing. It's not that he was incorrect. I mean, the bench, they had 14 points, right? And throughout this whole, let's start with last season to this season before the move, you didn't have Trey Lyles. Okay. So you didn't have Trey Lyles. That's even less scoring. All you had was Malik and Keon at times. Dougie McBuckets and Jay Crowder. So we understood what Mike Brown's thought process was. It just got to a point where, hey, doesn't really matter. And last season, I was one of the guys that said, I don't care that Kevin Huerter needs to get a couple shots up to feel good about himself or have confidence. Malik deserves to start. So I didn't necessarily agree with Mike, but I understood his thought process. And it wasn't that it was actually wrong because the bench isn't scoring. It was just a matter of, it doesn't matter. You're not good enough to wait, right? You're not good enough to wait and then bring Malik in later. You're so bad right now. You have to give everything you can at the beginning and figure the rest out later. And for the most part, it has been working. But again, you can't score 14 points off the bench and expect to win a lot of basketball.
And last year, Malik Monk was on his way to winning Sixth Man of the Year. He was going to win Sixth Man of the Year. They wanted to make sure Malik Monk won Sixth Man of the Year because that gave the Kings the best chance to succeed. And in 2023, it made all the sense in the world. When they brought back Malik on the contract that they did, by proxy, and also by adding DeRozan, by proxy, you subtracted a number of players who could have been filling minutes in the starting lineup. You know, Mike went between the KZ Okpalas and the Keon Ellises and the Kevin Huerters and the Doug McDermotts and everyone in between. Chris Duarte started some games last year at the 2. He went through everyone except Malik, and now those players weren't even on the bench. So what changed is your best chance to succeed is putting Malik in the starting lineup. And I would have never guessed in 20 years that 3 weeks after making the decision to move Malik into the starting lineup, Mike Brown would no longer be the coach anymore.
So we understood the thought process, but yeah, I mean, it just got to a point where you got to do what you got to do. And this was during one of their other losing streaks. So yeah, great stuff there, Vinny. 916-339-1140. Let's get to AC. Wants to be part of the conversation. What's up, AC? What you got for us?
I got a question.
Okay.
If my name is Allen like yours, and I can call any other show during the day, what do you think I'm going to do?
Call into this one.
Exactly. So I want to. You took a little long on that one. It scared me. So I want to just point something out that they were talking about earlier, which is why there wasn't a lot of communication about the firing of Coach Brown. And the elephant in the room is, Vivek Ranadive is not a Steve Ballmer. He saved the franchise, that's true, but the guy has a tendency to be cheap. He doesn't want to pay the luxury tax. we can't afford to lose games at home. Games at home represent revenue, right? People go to the games, they buy stuff. Obviously, there's online buying and stuff. But my point is, he had to do that, and you can't fire the GM because the GM is the one that hires and fires the coach. I mean, you can fire him, but let's face it, corporate executives are going to lay people off. You know this from radio, and you can't have the GM's got to run things. So I think Monty McNair's hands were tied. I think Vivek told him to do this, and that's why you're not hearing a lot about it.
Thanks for the call, AC, and shout out to having a great name, Allen. Yeah, I mean, obviously a lot of this is speculation. Initially, I didn't really think too much of it as far as the no press conference and things like that. A lot of the other media members that I've talked to, they've kind of gotten me on the side of, no, this is kind of a big deal. They should have said something. And I thought, okay, yeah, well, if you say so, I'll rock with you. But it was a bit random. And I know we talked about it the day before New Year's Eve, or maybe it was on New Year's Eve. A lot of fans kind of weirded out by it. I know Sam Amick in his article, he also talked about the fact that they didn't say anything. It just, I guess, it's not typical protocol, and they still might say something, and it is weird. I've been more convinced now that it was weird than I initially was. As far as an AC kind of went into a realm of Vivek and just thoughts on the luxury tax and things like that. As far as why they made the move or who wanted to make the move, because somebody else was saying, hey, I think a last caller was saying good on Monty McNair for recognizing that it wasn't working. And now we have Allen saying that he doesn't think it was necessarily Monty McNair's decision. Yeah, we'll never know, I don't think, unless something leaks out. But yeah, if you're Monty McNair, you're getting heat from your boss. I guess the decision would be, hey, do we pay the high price for Cam Johnson and see if Mike Brown can do it? Or before we pay that high price, let's see if Doug Christie, who everybody really liked, and a lot of people thought that there was a pipeline anyway, do we accelerate what we think was going to be our process anyway and see what he can do?
You're saying the Thanos meme of this was inevitable, so we might as well just get to it now?
That's exactly what I'm saying. So now it's, okay, well, if we pay the high price with Mike and things still aren't working and we still have to fire Mike, that's a tough scene. Why don't we just move on from Mike now, which we probably think we are going to do. All of the talk and about Vivek being cheap, y'all know he's going to have to eat that Mike Brown contract. So he is paying Mike Brown to be in Cancun, by the way. So
at least for the next 2 years. I mean, I assume Doug got a nice pay raise to become the head coach, but they didn't have to dish out a giant contract now. Mike's just going to keep collecting on the 1st and the 15th for the next 2 years.
So he does have to cash Mike outside while he just chills. So there is that part of it. But I think they just made a decision. They've always really liked Doug Christie. I think from the rumblings and grumblings and whispers that I heard, this was going to be something that probably was going to happen anyway. So let's just see what Doug does now. And if he can turn this around, then we definitely feel good about him going into next season. And we've discussed, is this more so about building momentum into next season, or can the Kings make a run this season? I think it depends on how hot they get in the next couple games here, because we are inching closer and closer to that trade deadline. And I do think initially that this made Keegan untouchable, because you're not going to want to make, as my uncle says in Panama, haste make waste. You don't want to make a hasty move and then you still don't make the playoffs, and now you're out of Keegan Murray and you got to do something anyway. So as far as the press conference is concerned, yeah, I don't know why they didn't do it. I think it was an interesting decision, and they're getting some backlash, and they're just hoping that they keep winning games so people talk about that instead. All right, let's continue the conversation and some candidates that were linked to De'Aaron Fox. We have Coach Christie on De'Aaron Fox and Sam Amick. A lot of Sam Amick stuff. He's writing. He's on the show. So Sam Amick has some Fox candidates that he was discussing, and we will get into that on the other side. More of your calls, texts. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
All guests and callers join us from the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
Trying to find out where to catch your favorite team's games?
Are you a fan of the Kings, Niners, and the NFL?
Well, Sacktown Sports has you covered.
Touchdown! San Francisco! It's all on his shoulders. Fox rocks. He fires for the win. He's got the triple.
Catch all your Kings, Niners, and NFL games all year long on Sacktown Sports and SacktownSports.com.
Sacramento's premier country music festival, Country in the Park, is coming back May 16th and 17th at Cal Expo with Bailey Zimmerman, Billy Currington, Cole Wetzel, Nate Smith, and more. You'll enjoy food trucks, rock walls, and a mechanical bull, line dancing, and more. Single-day GA tickets start at $52 at CITPFest.com. Country in the Park, May 16th and 17th with Hoblit Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram Center. Find out more at CITPFest.com.
California's largest Sportsman's Expo is back, January 16th at Cal Expo in Sacramento. Find a huge selection of fishing boats, kayaks, and side-by-sides. New this time, nearly 50,000 square feet of RVs and campers. And check out the all-new, fully redesigned Toyota Land Cruiser. Your life outdoors at the International Sportsman's Expo, January 16th through 19th at Cal Expo in Sacramento. More info at sportsexpos.com.
Your flagship station for the Beam Team, Sacktown Sports.
Got some sound from Coach Christie on De'Aaron Fox, and then we're going to discuss what Sam Amick had to say this morning about De'Aaron Fox. And last week me personally felt like De'Aaron was on the way out, and it's so funny how much winning can change things. Now I feel like maybe there is hope if you continue to win games. He's been playing great. Maybe all NBA isn't completely cooked. You got to win games, but you're putting up 33 points. You're winning games.
You might get it on a technicality because Luka's not going to make all NBA now.
Luka's not going to make it. I don't believe. I'd have to double check Steph. I don't think Steph's numbers are there. He's been a bit injured, and even before he was.
It's still a long shot, but
it's still a long shot.
It's more of a reality because of a technicality. Later on in the show, the All-Star voting returns came in, so we can kind of sift through that and get a gauge on how close De'Aaron is.
Yeah, the thing is, it feels like the season where you could pull it off, right? In a season where normally you can lock in all NBA players and you're fighting for spots. You still are, but not having Luka is huge, right? So anything is possible, as Kevin Garnett said. Before we get to this Doug Christie sound, let's get to the phone lines. Bobby wants to be a part of the conversation, 916-339-1140. What's up, Bobby? What you got for us?
Hey, what's up, guys? How are you doing?
Good.
Yeah, Happy New Year. I took my kids to the game last night. I had a 4-year-old daughter and a 7-year-old son, and it was awesome. But to speak to, I watched DC the whole time, because like I told your screener, I mean, we need to stop acting like Mike Brown is some legendary coach who, let's be honest with his track record. He's been like a 2 to 3 year guy everywhere he's been. He's a good guy, but he's a starter. He's not a guy, like we said, who's going to take us to where we need to be. So, in watching Doug last night, he's just so much more in tune and engaged with the team. Like, you could just tell by the body language, the players buy in, looking at De'Aaron, DeMar, and Domas. Like, no one wants to say the elephant in the room was he was losing them, And I don't think, we can say that, but that's why no one wants to acknowledge the obvious. And he had done a terrible job this season, guys. We got to be honest about that. His executions were whack. His pulse with De'Aaron and Domas, you could just see it.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Bobby. I'm glad you guys got to see a beam. A lot of fans have gone to a lot of home games lately and didn't get to see that dang beam. So I'm glad you and your fam got to see it. I don't know if I would say Mike Brown was horrible. But I will say this. So the bowl games are happening. The college football playoff is happening. And, of course, our thoughts and prayers go out to everyone in New Orleans with that tragedy, as the Sugar Bowl is going to be played very, very soon today. And when you look at college sports, and I can say this because I went to one from a football perspective. I went to Temple University, okay? These mid-majors, and you know where I'm going with this, these mid-majors, what are they called? They're called stepping stone schools, right? So what would happen at Temple University with Coach Al Golden, guys like that, they come through, they prove that they can coach at a high level, and they move on to a bigger school.
Or in your guys' case, they don't even have to prove it because Manny Diaz took the Temple job and then left 2 months later.
There you go. Matt Rule comes through to Temple. They're in the top 25 for a year. Matt Rule goes off to Baylor. Then after that, he goes to the NFL. Now he's back in Nebraska now. But there are stepping stone schools out there. And that's fine because as mid-majors, you just enjoy it while it lasts. And Mike Brown, as respectfully as I can sound here, has kind of been one of those stepping stone coaches, if you will, right? Or you could say someone to bridge the gap, kind of like a Kirk Cousins of coaches. Hey, this guy is going to help us stay afloat. Now, maybe you end up in a Baker Mayfield situation. You think, oh, actually, this guy's pretty good. We can keep him around long term. He can take us to the promised land, right? But the Geno Smiths of the world, Alex Smiths of the world, guys like that, these guys that bridge the gap while we're waiting for our guy. That's essentially what Mike Brown was. And I hope that doesn't sound disrespectful, but that's the stepping stones, the East Carolinas, all the UCFs of the world. Wow, they were good for a couple years. The coach left to take a bunch of money to go to Texas. The coach left to take a bunch of money to go to Alabama. Whatever it is, that's essentially what Mike Brown was.
Sort of, although I will say when Mike Brown has gotten fired before, it's been under some of the weirdest situations in the history of the NBA. Because the first time in Cleveland, if you'll remember, he got fired after I think it was a 61-game season, and the only reason he got fired is Dan Gilbert thought it would help LeBron stay as a free agent. LeBron was like a month away from the decision. Just fired Mike Brown for no reason other than he thought it was going to help LeBron stay in Cleveland.
Right.
The next time, if you'll remember, when he was the Lakers coach, he got fired because of Dwight Howard leaving, and Jerry Buss was like 2 months away from dying. And so they were like, we have to do something now to try and fix it. And I don't remember who they brought in after, but just fired him just because Jerry Buss was dying. And then he got back to Cleveland and got fired just normal, had 1 year, and then they signed LeBron. So he's been fired under some weird situations. So I don't think of him as like a stepping stone because all the places that he's left as a coach have gotten worse after he left as a coach.
Sure. But there is a thought of we should be taking the next step, right? And we didn't take that next step. The 916 says to bridge to Christie, ? I think so. Maybe it wasn't a foregone conclusion, but I think a lot of people in that building thought that would happen. Not really sure how it would happen, but now we know how it happened. And he basically, if you're Coach Christie, they're essentially giving him, I don't know if I would call it a mulligan season, right? You can't stink, but the expectations are almost so much lower now that he's going to look pretty good. I mean, you can't look terrible, but I don't know how much he actually has to do to lock down this thing. I think that they wanted to give him extra time and give him as much time as possible to work with this team and see what they can do. But, I mean, you'd have to get really, really hot. And, again, what's the thing I always say? Exceeding or meeting expectations is much harder than exceeding them. I think the expectations are low right now, so he's going to exceed them.
Yeah, and the only thing I'll add is the and give the Kings credit for, because I still think it's indefensible that they fired Mike Brown. The only reason to fire a coach during the middle of a season is if you think the replacement has a chance of being the long-term coach. That is, under most circumstances, literally the only reason to fire a coach mid-season. And that seems to be what direction the Kings are headed.
Which teams are looking at Mr. De'Aaron Fox? We'll tell you what Sam Amick thinks on the other side. And we'll also hear from Coach Doug Christie on the superstar point guard. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
The only place you'll find Keegan Murray is Sacktown Sports.
Out to Keegan Murray, straight away for three, and Keegan knocks down the triple.
Hey Sacramento, it's Keegan Murray, and you're listening to the home of Sacramento Kings, Sacktown Sports.
Your local sports leader.
No two people learn the exact same way. So how did Babbel become the award-winning language learning app? We thought of you, all of you. Take Sierra. As a visual learner, she uses Babbel's wordplay videos.
Today I'll share a quick lesson on shopping in French.
Merci beaucoup. Keith is a be-in-the-room with real people kind of learner, so he loves the live online classes with our language experts.
Okay, class. Vos está pronto.
Estamos prontos.
However you learn, Babbel makes it easy. Try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Lowe's knows how to help you save time and money, no matter the job. That's why we can deliver supplies to your job site as soon as same day, so you have more time to get the job done. Because when you need it fast, we've got you covered. Lowe's knows pros. Valid on eligible in-stock orders and select zip codes, placed by 2 p.m. for same-day delivery by 8 p.m. Subject to driver availability. Fees vary based on purchase. More terms apply. See Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for details.
It's the final days of the holiday everyone loves, Toyotathon at your Toyota dealer. Celebrate in style with offers like $2,000 cash back on the powerful Tundra. Or get a low-cost lease on a legendary Tacoma after an incredible $1,000 lease cash. Drive into the new year with a new truck from Toyota. These are the deals you've been waiting for. But hurry, Toyotathon ends soon. Toyota, let's go places. Offer available through TFS to buyers with premium rated credit. Ends 1/6/25.
It's a myth to think you don't play golf well enough to get fitted for golf clubs. The professionals at the Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio would argue that playing the game with golf clubs properly fitted to your body and swing characteristics is the best way to improve your game and have more fun on the golf course. With a professional staff of fitters, all the major brands of equipment, and cutting-edge technology featuring TrackMan, the indoor-outdoor Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio is worth a look. See for yourself, Fulton Avenue at the Cap City Freeway. Schedule your fitting at 916-808-2531, 808-2531.
Happy New Grill. Whitey here reminding you that not all grills are created equal. Give your family a real treat, as we did on Christmas Eve. Bring out all the flavors of the new year with the amazing Napoleon Prestige line of outdoor cookers. Napoleon grills have features other grills can't match. They're built different, built better, built to last. Complete with a lifetime warranty and premium steel that boasts absolute quality. Whitey and Napoleon Grills wish you Happy New Year. Visit Green Acres Nursery today for your best selection of Napoleon grills and accessories.
You know, when it's all on the line, you need a big-time closer, and that's especially true when it comes to your garage door. And that's why I recommend National Garage Doors, 638-4554. Whitey Gleason here for National Garage Door. Whether you're looking to repair an existing door or get a brand new one installed, you need National Garage Door. Family owned and operated. They've been around since 1974 because service is their number one priority. National Garage Door are the region's BSE. It's broken spring experts. Styles, prices, and quality of the new doors will amaze you. Our garage door was starting to sound kind of, and that's not good. So Kevin from National Garage Door came out. He said patching up the old one was an option, but we're getting a new garage door. We're pretty happy about that. National Garage Door sells quality Rainer branded garage doors. They offer sales, service, and installation on all residential and commercial doors and operators. If you have garage door needs, old ones coming apart, or you're looking to improve your curb appeal, let National Garage Door come through for you in the clutch and be your closer. 638-4554, National Garage Door.
Why choose Gonzalez Law Offices? Well, for criminal defense, expungements, sexual harassment, wrongful termination. The best thing you can do is to retain legal representation from an experienced defense attorney in Sacramento who helps you obtain the best possible results. At Gonzalez Law Offices, attorney Jonathan Gonzalez has remained undefeated from 2016 through 2019 for jury trials, and this year will be no exception. Contact him at 916-304-9187 or at saclegaldefense.com.
The good news? Now that you've lost the excess weight, InShape Fitness is here to help you maintain your new look with everything from fitness classes to full-length mirrors to admire your new self. We are InShape. You are ready. Join online today at InShape.com.
Maida Chevy saves you $8,000 off MSRP on new 2025 half-ton Silverado LT and RST after rebates.
Year-end savings on now with $8,000 off new Silverados at MaidaChevy.com. Together, let's drive.
See dealer for details.
Your home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
Sacktown Sports.
Halfway through the second hour, a lot of great calls today. I'm sure that has nothing to do with the fact that the Kings won. Of course, the Kings won. They take care of business against the Philadelphia 76ers with no Joel Embiid, but hey, we've seen them lose games like this before, and we're continuing to break down how the Kings got it done and the differences that you see when you watch the game between a Coach Christie game and a Coach Mike Brown game as we start to close the chapter on Mike Brown. But Sam Amick had some things to say this morning about De'Aaron Fox and just some of the candidates that are interested in De'Aaron Fox, and we're about to get to that. But before we do, we have Coach Christie on De'Aaron Fox, and he had some things to say. I'm looking at Kyle as he's handling some calls, but Kyle, we got that Doug Christie sound. Yeah, let's get to Doug Christie on what he had to say on De'Aaron Fox. Here it is.
Has the ability to sit down and guard because of his quickness, his strength, and his athleticism, his anticipation, and then his competitive nature is just high level. And he's finding his way in front of our very eyes, and it's huge, man. I just hugged him and said, "Love you, man. Like, thank you, like taking me on a ride because you're taking the city on a ride." And even like when I look at Domas, like 12 defensive, 9 offensive, 21, 17, Malik, like all around. But before we left the locker room, I said to De'Aaron, before we headed out on the floor, it's just like.
So there was Doug Christie. In the very beginning of that, he says that De'Aaron Fox is elite. And just kind of talks about, obviously, right after that is when he went into the defense and his quickness. He's stronger than he looks. And when he is locked in, I think that's the one thing as we break down the differences between, as much as we know that De'Aaron Fox liked being coached by Mike Brown and didn't want another coach, De'Aaron Fox has been pretty darn locked in for really all 3 games. I know the Laker game they lost, but De'Aaron Fox has been pretty darn locked in, and they had that slow start against the Mavs. But De'Aaron Fox has been playing really well, and it's affecting how the Kings are able to pull off some of these victories. So with that being said, there are still question marks on whether De'Aaron will want to continue here in Sacramento. I mean, they are 4 games below 500. They're trying to get back in a play-in conversation.
It's not like it was only 4 days ago that everyone was just, sign, sealing, and delivered. De'Aaron's never coming back.
I mean, I still don't feel great about it, but you keep winning games, and I'll start feeling better about it.
Yeah, I guess I've just kind of been in the middle all the way through, which is like, this definitely doesn't help firing the coach that he likes,
right.
But it doesn't put the nail in the coffin that he's not coming back yet. Again,
Right.
We got to wait until we see who the all-NBA teams are before we talk at all.
And maybe he'll end up liking Coach Christie as much as Coach Mike Brown. Who knows? And it's one of those things where he might still have I would assume there's still going to be a relationship with Mike Brown. He can still get what he was getting from Mike Brown in a different capacity. So, we'll see how all that develops if he stays in Sacramento. So because of that, here is Sam Amick and what he had to say this morning. Here's the quote: "The San Antonio Spurs, Miami Heat, and Los Angeles Lakers top the list of teams that are most often discussed as possible Fox landing spots, with others sure to make a run at him if and when he's truly on the market. The Orlando Magic, for example, are known to be contemplating a pursuit. The Houston Rockets, who want to analyze their current core through this season, but could be in the market for another all-star caliber player this summer, are also known to be intrigued by the idea of partnering with Fox, who is a Houston native. Make no mistake, though, the Spurs noise is the loudest. Can't be the Lakers, man. Not the Lakers. Not the Lakers.
Is it that loud?
It sounds like it. I think the Spurs probably have the best package to land De'Aaron Fox off the top of my head. Not that the Kings would have wanted D'Angelo Russell, but the Lakers now don't have that piece that they've been trying to move. If the Lakers don't want to give up Austin Reeves, which we know they don't, I just don't think the Lakers have enough assets to land De'Aaron Fox.
I actually don't think any team here is better than the other, because of those 5 teams, they all have packages of young players and draft picks, right? So it just comes down to who are the young players that the team that they're trading for actually prioritizes. We know the Spurs have lottery picks from the last 3 years. We know that the Orlando Magic have lottery picks from the last few years. Houston has like 4 of them that keep getting thrown around in trades between the Reed Shepherd, Jabari Smith Jr., the Thompson twin, Jalen Green. They all keep getting thrown around. Miami, not lottery guys, but they have Jaime Jaquez and Nikola Jovic that have both been thrown around in trade candidacies. So I think all the teams have young players and picks. It's just a matter of, if you're Sacramento or any other team, which young players do you actually want to build around if you're making a rebuilding type trade?
I think that, right. I think that the rebuilding type trade, you're looking at the Spurs, and you're looking at the Spurs, and you're looking at, I guess, the Rockets. To me, as far as trying to keep Domas and not blow it up, I'm looking at, I guess, the Lakers, if we're talking to Rui Hachimura, guys like that, and the Miami Heat with Jaime Jaquez. I don't know if Tyler Hero would be untouchable or not.
I would assume it's more likely Jovic.
Yes, well, Jovic got to come no matter what.
Yeah, it's just, Miami wouldn't trade Tyler Hero for James Harden, Damian Lillard, or Bradley Beal. I don't think they're finally ready to say, yes, Tyler Hero, especially when Tyler Hero's playing great this season.
He has been.
It would be so weird for them to not trade him before, but now say we're going to trade him for a player kind of the same caliber as Damian Lillard 2 years ago, Bradley Beal 2 years ago.
So the question really is, how do you think De'Aaron Fox is viewed throughout the league, overrated or underrated? I think we spent a lot of time talking about De'Aaron Fox being underrated, and I would maybe say going into this season, he was still underrated. But now, and it's funny, once somebody becomes available, fans also just love what they don't have and the idea of making their team better. You look at De'Aaron and you start out that season or this season with that huge game where he dropped 60 or 100 points in 2 games when a bunch of guys were missing for the Kings. And I don't know that De'Aaron is still underrated, to be completely honest with you. I think those 2 games kind of put him on the map, and the fact that now he's speaking out and, having Rich Paul come up and talk to the front office, I don't know that De'Aaron is still viewed as underrated. I mean, a lot of people are really, really interested in him, whether it be the fans or these actual teams. So I think De'Aaron is probably properly rated now. He's anybody that you're talking about, I guess maybe besides the Houston Rockets, but he's going to be that 1B, 2A-ish type player. There's another guy, right? I mean, the Spurs, you got Wembanyama, the Heat, you got Bam, and to a lesser degree, Tyler Hero. The Lakers, you know who the Lakers have. I think the teams where it's truly 1A would be the Rockets, and just the Rockets, because the Magic, you got Paolo and you got Franz Wagner. So I think the Rockets are really the only team where you would say, hey, De'Aaron, you're truly going to be the face of our team. There might be a little bit of the hometown connection there as well. So I think at this point, De'Aaron is probably gone from underrated to properly rated. I think his stock has skyrocketed this season.
Here's kind of the gauge, and I think the last 3 years have done numbers for him, because De'Aaron Fox is a one-time All-Star and a one-time All-NBA player, right? Both of those in the Beam Team season.
Yes.
So De'Aaron Fox is one of, I don't have the exact number. I think it's about between 33 and 37 active NBA players who have made at least one All-NBA team in their career, right? There's a little less than 40 of those guys. So we're talking about someone who is one of the 40 best players in the NBA, and there's nobody who can debate that or counteract that.
Right.
You can also probably take out Paul George is probably not as good of a player as De'Aaron Fox at this stage of his career, right? So you're talking about a top 40 NBA player right now with a possibility to project to be better because he's in his prime right now. How long De'Aaron's prime will last, I don't know, but he's in his prime. He's without question a top 40 player in the league. Most people would say he's a top 30 player in the league, and that is going to command a trade package worthy of the Damian Lillard trade, the Drew Holiday trade, guys that we've seen get moved over the last few years, especially in an offseason when the Kings don't really have the leverage if De'Aaron Fox says, I don't want to sign my extension.
So it has escalated quickly and then de-escalated from a couple wins, but I don't think this thing is going anywhere. They just have to continue to win games, and hopefully that convinces De'Aaron to stay and build that relationship with Coach Christie as well. And they're off to a pretty darn good start. Let's talk about that start and how the Kings got it done last night, even though it looked like Paul George and Tyrese Maxey were going to take them to the cleaners. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
You never know what you might hear when listening to a Sacramento Kings game.
Out of Keegan, going for another triple. Man, is he feeling it. Keegan, can he do it? Yes, there's number 11, Keegan Murray. Keegan steps back. He just knocked down his 12th three-pointer, a Kings franchise record. He's got 45 points.
Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with Sacktown Sports and the Sacktown Sports app.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave for American Energy Heating and Air with a question. Have you recently had a technician diagnose your HVAC system and you were a bit surprised at how much it cost? Or did something seem off about their quote? Because at American Energy, they take pride in giving you honest, straightforward solutions to get that system up and running. Have their qualified technicians come out and give you a free second opinion. It's free. You got nothing to lose but some dollars off of that original quote. They're making the uncomfortable comfortable. They've been doing it since 1981, serving the greater Sacramento area. A+ with the Better Business Bureau. That's why they keep having customers coming back for more and more and more. You can call them and set that appointment at 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990 or AmericanEnergyAir.com.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
Power Business Technology is proud to be a 100% independent, locally owned and managed Toshiba copier dealer. Local ownership cuts out the red tape, allowing ourselves to never be too busy to personally answer the call when our clients need us. Recognized for excellence in service execution, training, and customer service, we're proud to be named a Toshiba ProMasters Elite Dealer since 2021. Contact us today for all your business printing needs at 844-POWER-BZ. That's 844-769-3729, or visit us at powercopiers.com.
Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck and I love what I do.
A truck driver with IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Quite a few letters in the mail. They were talking about wage garnishment coming after my house, my car. Yeah, they don't play around. I seriously thought that I was going to lose everything.
One sleepless night, Wesley finally made a call to Optima Tax Relief at 2 a.m.
Kind of figured I'd get a machine, but I didn't. I actually got to talk to an actual person in the middle of the night.
He found just what he was looking for.
Oh, they were great people. You need a team of people that know what they're doing. Optima Tax, they know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. Happy don't even come close. I was absolutely overjoyed.
Take Wesley's advice.
If you're in any kind of trouble with the IRS, call Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-838-6161. That's 800-838-6161.
6161. 800-838-6161.
No two people learn the exact same way. So how did Babbel become the award-winning language learning app? We thought of you, all of you. Take Sierra. As a visual learner, she uses Babbel's wordplay videos.
Today I'll share a quick lesson on shopping in French.
Merci beaucoup. Keith is a be in the room with real people kind of learner. So he loves the live online classes with our language experts.
Okay, class. Vos está pronto.
Estamos prontos.
However you learn, Babbel makes it easy. Try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
This holiday season, Capital One reminds you to give yourself the gift of 1.5% cash back with the Capital One Quicksilver Card.
Can I earn 1.5% cash back on birds?
Birds?
What if you sent your true love 2 turtle doves plus a partridge in a pear tree?
Sure, but why would anyone want that?
The song was very convincing.
Earn 1.5% cash back on all your holiday purchases with the Capital One Quicksilver Card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Joe Montana here. In my football days, I knew the importance of a strong defense. Now I'm sharing how you can help defend your health against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease. Are you 50 or older like me? The CDC now recommends vaccination against pneumococcal disease. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at increased risk and over 6 times greater risk of hospitalization with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50. Schedule your appointment today at vaxassist.com.
Sponsored by Pfizer.
Tom's Watch Bar, your ultimate sports watching destination for all Kings games, hosted live by Sacktown Sports. With 360-degree viewing, surround sound, premium food and drink, and game day vibes that match being at the game, Tom's Watch Bar is the ultimate game day experience for all Sacramento Kings fans.
Live and local, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday through Friday. Sacktown Sports.
We have some more clips here from the Sam Amick piece on De'Aaron Fox. Here's the quote. While league sources say Fox has not asked for a trade, that hasn't stopped interested teams from planning for a possible run at the 27-year-old former All-Star, Amick wrote. Among interested teams, there is a strong belief that Fox is more likely to be available this summer rather than before the February 6th trade deadline. Among interested teams, there is a strong belief that Fox is more likely to be available this summer rather than before the February 6th trade deadline. I mean, none of that is surprising, right? I mean, based on what has happened, based on where the Kings are, I know we're happy that they've won a couple games here, but they are not in position right now to compete at the level that De'Aaron wants to compete at. So I don't think any of this is very surprising.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is in the modern NBA, I guess modern being since the new collective bargaining agreement a few years ago, stars just don't become available all that often anymore.
Yeah.
Like most of the best 10 players in the league have been on the same team for the last 5 to 6 years. And so everyone's kind of grasping straws at these, I guess you would say, second tier stars, or like the players who like sometimes are an all-star, but sometimes aren't. Like Luka hasn't switched teams, Shea, Giannis, Jokic, Anthony Davis in like 6 years. So it's interesting. Fox would be, I mean, other than Jimmy Butler, Fox would be the best player available this summer, I would imagine, right?
I would say so. And, and we're about to get into some of the details of last night, how the Kings got the W. But I do find it interesting which guys, it's funny. It's almost like you need a level of success to be considered running from the grind versus that guy needs to get out of there, right? When we decide, we as a collective NBA world decide, Dame Lillard never really got the, wow, he's running from the grind because he waited so long. It was, honestly, Dame, you probably waited too long.
But Damian Lillard kind of not beat the respect out of people, but just was so committed to Portland that people just got to a point where they were like, hey, maybe Portland is the problem. Maybe it's not Damian Lillard's not good enough to be the best player on a championship team. It's like maybe Portland kind of let him down.
And I have a whole piece on Dame Lillard. Love him, Oakland guy. But we will get into that another time. But the guys where KD, you were in the Western Conference Finals, and then you not only do you leave, you go to the team that beat you. I mean, we know that was, in a lot of people's minds, unforgivable. But the reason it was running from the grind is because they were close. So it's this guy's running from the grind versus this guy never got a shot at the grind. And I think when you look at De'Aaron Fox, even though they had the run in 2023, I don't think there's anybody. First of all, for some reason, people love to hate on Sacramento. It's the only small market that gets hated on. I don't know why.
And I'm Charlotte also.
The whole no, I don't think it's the same. I don't know why, but people love to bag on Sacramento, specifically the Kings. I don't know why, but so that's part of it. But when you look at De'Aaron Fox, I don't think there's anybody out there that would say, man, that guy ran from the grind. I think everybody would say he did his time. You know, these guys that get drafted these guys that get drafted to small markets, he did his time. It's time for him to flourish somewhere else. Because I'm trying to think off the top of my head the he did his time guys, right? Because Dame did more than his time.
Yeah.
Giannis stayed. LeBron, I think LeBron was an interesting one when he first left Cleveland because I think a lot of people felt like he did do his time. They were more so upset at where he went and how he did it. But he did do his time.
I think the other one I think of more recently is Donovan Mitchell, where it was like, you did your 5 years in Utah.
Yes.
Now you get to go to Cleveland, which was not great at the time, but now is clearly a better situation than he was in Utah.
And we know it was a trade, and we still have conversations. I mean, he signs that big contract, but a lot of people thought he was going to go to New York.
Yeah.
Right. So they still had that conversation going back to Shaq. Did his time in Orlando, then goes to LA.
I'm realizing now the Donovan Mitchell one might be partially Utah and also partially Rudy Gobert related. Is like you had to deal with that dude for 5 years.
Right, you can go now.
You had to spend 5 years dealing with Rudy Gobert. You can go now.
So, and I'm sure there are a lot more examples, but I don't think there's anybody out there. I'm sure there are some people, and even you know what's funny enough, even in Sacramento, is there anybody in Sacramento that would say, if De'Aaron requested, let's say the Kings missed the playoffs, this Doug does a decent job, but they just aren't good enough, right? Mm-hmm. They don't sell on Keegan because it's not worth it. Devin Carter is okay, he's good. They don't get Cam Johnson, and they play better. It's a more fun season, but they missed the play-in because of the hole that they got to dig themselves out of. De'Aaron says, I'm out of here. I'm requesting a trade. How many people in Sacramento would say De'Aaron left us hanging to dry? Would De'Aaron he goes to the Spurs, he goes to the Rockets, would he get booed? I don't know. I don't think so.
I think there would be hard feelings for some people. And the people I think would be most upset with it are the fans who root for the Sacramento on the jersey. Mm-hmm. You know, people get accused, and I don't think it's that bad, but people get accused of rooting for laundry at times, or like just rooting for, it doesn't matter who's playing for Sacramento. We're always rooting for Sacramento.
Yes.
And if you're not with us, you're against us.
Right. That doesn't mean you have to boo, though.
No, but I do think there will be a section of people who will say, what did De'Aaron Fox ever do as a Sacramento King? When I say De'Aaron Fox could not play another game with the Sacramento Kings, and he will have his jersey retired by the organization.
It's what did De'Aaron do for us is one side, and the other side is what did the org do for De'Aaron?
Yes.
And where do you fall on that spectrum?
And the organization did a lot for De'Aaron between the trade of Tyrese Halliburton, the hiring of Mike Brown, the roster changes, things of those sorts. They were done with De'Aaron Fox, not because De'Aaron asked for them, but with De'Aaron Fox in mind. Yeah. And just because it didn't get to the second round or the conference finals or whatever, it's been a really, really great run. A run that might continue with Fox and Sabonis for years down the line. But up to this point, it's been a really great run. I know last year ended in disappointment.
Relatively speaking, yes.
But the Beam Team season was magical. It was an amazing success. And they were one game away from, in my opinion, making it to the conference finals because they would have beat the Lakers in the second round. So it's interesting to think about the success that they've had up to this point within the context of where Sacramento was when De'Aaron Fox first got there.
And maybe we'll never have to have these conversations, right? Maybe they make a move, the Cam Johnson thing, they just decide to go all in. Because essentially right now, in my opinion, you're deciding, do you want to ride with De'Aaron and try to give him what he wants, which means that you might need to sell something you don't want to sell, or do you want to ride with the future and not buy high on Cam Johnson and move on from Keegan Murray or too many first-round picks or Devin Carter, and we'll get into that Evan Sidery report as well. That's the decision that the Kings are about to make. Well, the Kings on the court decided to turn it up defensively, and we'll talk about how the Kings got the W. As we enter the 12 o'clock hour, we open up the phone lines, open them back up, 916-339-1140 if you want to be part of the conversation. If De'Aaron Fox asked out, how would you feel about it? And how are you feeling about the Kings right now? Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
The Sacramento Kings play here.
He's got the triple. Sacramento takes the lead.
Get your Kings fix all season long right here on your home of the Sacramento Kings. Sacktown Sports at SacktownSports.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-583-5795. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-583-5795. That's 800-583-5795. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
When you take the time to shop at Folsom Lake Honda, there's one thing you'll always find. Happy people ready to serve you. As a family-owned and operated dealership since 2009, customer service is our #1 priority. Our customers love doing business with us, and you will too. Get an instant cash offer for your trade at FolsomLakeHonda.com. We'll buy your car whether you buy from us or not. Folsom Lake Honda is your one-stop Honda shop.
Folsom Lake Honda, yeah, your one-stop Honda shop.
Sacramento's premier country music festival, Country in the Park, is coming back May 16th and 17th at Cal Expo with Bailey Zimmerman, Billy Currington, Cole Wetzel, Nate Smith, and more. You'll enjoy food trucks, rock walls, and a mechanical bull, line dancing, and more. Single-day GA tickets start at $52 at CITPFest.com. Country in the Park, May 16th and 17th with Hoblit Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram Center. Find out more at CITPFest.com.
Hi, I'm Justin Gingery. One of the most common questions I receive is what makes us different from other law firms. At Gingery, Hammer & Associates, we handle your case from beginning to end. Whether your case reaches a settlement, whether we need to file suit, or even take it all the way to trial, we will be with you along the entire way. And because we are committed to you and your case, we are as invested as you are in making sure you get the outcome you deserve. If you have an injury, just call Gingery.
Are you tired of your tee shots ending up in the adjoining fairway while the rest of your foursome is hitting it down the middle? Well, experts will tell you that being properly fitted for golf clubs will help you strike your drive center cut. The Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio and its team of trained PGA professionals are ready to help you get rid of your banana balls and duck hooks. Hagen Oaks Indoor-Outdoor Player Performance Studio fittings are available 7 days a week. Make yours today by calling 916-808-2531. That's 808-2531.
Coach Doug Christie here for your truck headquarters, reminding you that every deal at Folsom Lake Ford is a slam dunk. Shop all your favorite models on sale now, including America's best-selling truck for over 47 years, Ford F-Series, plus a huge selection of Broncos, Bronco Sports, and all of Ford's award-winning SUVs at FolsomLakeFord.com. Listen, I know a great play when I see one, and if you want to save on a new Ford, you got to drive the lane straight to Folsom Lake Ford in the Folsom Auto Mall. Right now, buy any new Ford with 0 down on approval of credit. Save big with low interest financing, and Folsom Lake Ford always pays top dollar for your trade. So hurry to Folsom Lake Ford, a 6-time Triple Crown winner for sales and service excellence. That's why they're my trusted dealer, and they should be yours too. Tell them Coach Doug Christie sent you, or shop them online at FolsomLakeFord.com.
Your local sports leader in the 916.
KHD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento.
From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios, Sacktown Sports 1140. Your flagship station for the Beam Team, Sacktown Sports.
I'm a fan of Fox because he is a king. The moment he leaves, that's over. Players come and go. I'm a fan of the team. That's from Ori Barnes on the Sack Chat. Well, I'm not saying there's a difference between I'm not a fan of him. You don't have to follow him. I'm saying, would you boo him? I'm saying, would there be hostility because he left you? He left you. Unfinished business, right? KD got booed because there was unfinished business. There wasn't really much unfinished business with the Kings. There was never any business.
I mean, you know my opinion about booing grown adults.
I know.
Yeah, no, never. You should never do it.
But I don't police fanning. You want to boo somebody, boo.
Oh, I fan however you want to fan. Like, I don't believe in the type of fanning of root for the organization overall, but I understand it's Sacramento.
It is Sacramento.
It's Sacramento's team, and I understand if you're rooting for it for Sacramento. I would say it's not Sacramento, it's the Kings. And rooting for the Kings, you know, sometimes can lead you astray or lead you to some not best opinions, I would say.
We're still trying to figure out what is going to happen with De'Aaron Fox. But in the meantime, the Kings got to keep winning basketball games, and that's exactly what they did last night as they defeat the Philadelphia 76ers 113-107. The Sacramento Kings finished the game on a 15-0 run, and as impressive is the offensive side of things to get those 15 points, the more impressive part of that is the defense, pitching that shutout when you have two elite scorers. I mean, they are roasting Paul George for how he finished out the game, but he didn't just, like Mike and lose his shoes. It's because the defense turned up, and Tyrese Maxey, who I'm a huge fan of, that they found a way to shut these guys down just enough to get the W, and it's something that we really haven't seen. As I assessed the game, the Kings started out hot at the beginning of the game. Then they started to fall into old habits. They just didn't have an answer for Paul George, and Paul George was really doing whatever he wanted. They tried a carousel of players on Paul George, and he was just in the zone. He scored 15 points. In the first 4 minutes 47 seconds of the game, then 10 points the next 8 minutes 20 seconds. Whether guarded by DeRozan, Herter, Keon, or Fox, Paul George gave the Kings work. He scored 20 points in the first half for the first time as a 76er for the 46th time in his 888 regular season games played. The thing I said about the scored 15 points in the first 47, then 10 points, that was the Kings, how they cooled off a bit. And then you had the Paul George numbers. Sabonis put up 9 points, 8 rebounds in the first quarter. Then Alex Len came in and was a minus 12 in 6 minutes, with Andre Drummond posting him up twice for a couple buckets. Domas had 8 rebounds in the first quarter. For the 14th time in his Kings career, Sabonis recorded a first half double-double with 14-plus rebounds and a half for only the 8th time in his career, the second this year. That was the Pacers game that they lost that game.
They were tied at halftime.
Yeah, they were tied at halftime.
It went very bad after that.
And that was a couple weeks ago.
Sabonis had 14 rebounds at halftime in that game too.
17-3 Sacramento run brought the Kings back to 54-54 tie, with all 5 players scoring during the run. Lyles, Fox, Domas, Keon, and Herter. The 76ers scored the last bucket at the 3:34 mark. Then the closing lineup of Fox, Keon, DeRozan, Monk, and Sabonis went on a 15-0 run. Everyone except Domas got in on the scoring during that run. Even Keon from 3. They went 6 for 6 from the free throw line down the stretch. A big switch from what we've seen from the past with the Kings. Malik went 8 for 8 from the free throw line in the fourth quarter. And the Kings took care of business.
Right.
There you go. Fourth quarter points. The 76ers had 18. Fox and Malik combined for 24. So just great stuff from the Sacramento Kings. And it was every win is now a much needed win. But in this situation, I think that you have two games here. Now you want them to have a game where they start out fast, and they did to start the game, then they cooled off. You want them to have a game where it's just one half. In the first half, they just beat the brakes off someone, right? But in these last two games, you've had the Kings put themselves in positions to where they have to overcome some things, and they've done it. And they've done it. Now, the next thing, if there is a Doug Christie checklist, right, or just a Kings checklist, is you've won tough games against lesser opponents. Can you win games, period, against better opponents? They still don't have a good win against a really good opponent this season off the top of my head. The Timberwolves are like the 10 seed. So who is the best opponent that the Kings have beat?
I would say Miami.
I guess. So they still need to check that off the list. But the other thing is, overcoming deficits and overcoming kind of tough situations. So they showed that they could do that against lesser teams or teams missing their guys. We're still waiting to see them just come out and say, we're just better than you tonight. And we're going to make you say uncle. That's what we're going to do. So they haven't done that yet, but you will take this victory as the Kings need all the help that they can get down this stretch.
Okay, we did forget one. Remember, they beat the Rockets in that play-in game?
That's right.
So the best win of the season is against the Rockets. And if I'm doing the math here...
The red-hot Rockets, by the way.
They were red-hot at the time. If I'm doing the math here, I believe they have beaten 3 teams that are currently in the playoffs right now. It's Houston, Dallas, and the Hawks.
And that Dallas win is the win with no players, right?
Yes, I believe so. Because every other, just doing it real quick. So they've beaten Portland a couple times. They've beaten the Jazz. Miami was the other one I forgot to mention. I said best win of the season is probably Miami. Toronto not in the playoffs. Phoenix not in the playoffs. Timberwolves not in the playoffs. They're play-in. Spurs not in the playoffs. Pelicans not in the playoffs. Yep, that's it. They've beaten 3 teams that are currently in the playoffs.
And one of those teams, it was not their starting.
Well, I was taking out the Dallas one. So they beat Miami at full strength. They beat the Hawks, and they beat the Rockets. And then they beat Dallas with none of their stars.
So you're happy. Again, we are taking the W. Don't get me wrong. We are taking the W. But there's still a lot of question marks. And here you have, from what I've seen, Kyle, we'll dig more into it tomorrow, but look like the Ja Morant shoulder thing week to week. Man, that guy can't stay healthy. You know what's funny? If it wasn't for Zion being the number 1 pick, you know how much more we'd probably talk about Ja Morant missing this time?
I guess the difference is this is the better like the last time Ja Morant missed time, it was like the biggest story of all stories. I think of the NBA season. If I remember correctly, that was the biggest story of that. It was either that or Kyrie.
Right.
Was the biggest story of that NBA season. So I guess now that he's only out with normal injuries and the Grizzlies are still really good even without him because they're just hitting on all their draft picks and the young guys are just keeping them afloat. It's like not as much of a story because it hasn't just ruined Memphis's season. They're still the 2 seed right now.
Well, and yeah, I'm seeing here Grizzlies without Ja Morant for an extended period of time. So it doesn't look like he's going to play tomorrow.
Yeah, no,
so
he's not going to play.
And the Kings, they lost to the Grizzlies when Ja got ejected. So you look at the schedule here, as we kind of alluded to, things being not taking care of business at home against lesser opponents, and this thing is only going to get tougher for you. So this is what it is for the Kings, as we're going to find out if they can beat good teams or not. The Grizzlies playoff team, no Ja Morant, but you're going to get that opportunity tomorrow. You have to go to the Bay to face the Warriors, who have been reeling, but that's always they're always going to play up.
Yeah,
against
they're like
the Kings.
Kind of a playoff team right now.
Yeah, they're always going to play up. After that, you host the Heat. Then you go to Boston. You go to Chicago. You go to Milwaukee. You host the Rockets. You get a little break against the Wizards. You host the Warriors. You go to Denver. You go to New York. Go to Brooklyn, you already lost to Brooklyn. You go to Philly. You go to OKC. You go to Minnesota. And then you host the Magic. That's a rough stretch. We are going to find out what the Kings are actually made of.
If you had to guess, what would you say the Kings rank in terms of hardest strength of schedule the rest of the season?
Got to be top 3.
Almost. They're 4.
Okay.
They're 4th in the league in hardest strength of schedule the rest of the season. They're tied with Dallas.
So you can't go back in time. You lost to the Nets at home. You lost to the Spurs twice. You got some bad losses. Now you got to try to make up for it. And that's why these De'Aaron Fox conversations are coming up. Everybody is paying attention to all of this. Because if you straight up miss the playoffs, you almost still have to make a move. If you want to keep De'Aaron, I think you still have to make a move. Because you can't miss the playoffs, not change the roster and say, trust us, De'Aaron. We got this.
Yeah, I mean, it's just how long can you go without changing up the roster? Yes, they went from DeMar DeRozan from Harrison Barnes, but it's like, how long can you go without changing up the roster before the players look up and be like, hey, this is not good enough? And De'Aaron said it in that press conference when they were in Los Angeles. He's like, whether it's guys in the locker room or outside the locker room, we have to play better. So, it's already weighing on people's minds now. What's it going to be like in 7 months?
Yeah, and to me, that the Laker loss is just kind of getting overshadowed. And I would give, just like myself when I was playing Morgan Creek this morning, I would give Doug Christie a breakfast ball or a mulligan for that Laker game. But now, as much as everything feels great, and it's not realistic, right? I think that's the biggest thing. The Kings are going to lose another game. It's not realistic that they're going to go undefeated, but every loss is going to hurt much more than it should. And if you do lose to a Grizzlies team without Ja Morant tomorrow, we played all the sound, and we played Doug Christie sending, guys going up on top of the roof to look at the beam. That's all fine and good. But the reality is you're in a hole and you can't afford, based on the schedule I just read, and I don't do the must-win thing because I've been hurt too many times, but you kind of have to beat a Grizzlies team with no Ja Morant based on the schedule that I just laid out. Because you got a rivalry. Yes, I'm going to call it a rivalry game. You got a rivalry game, and that's a back-to-back, by the way. So the Kings play the Warriors on Sunday, then they host the Heat on Monday. So that's back-to-back. So I'm not calling it a must-win because that doesn't matter. They could lose, and we still got to figure it out. But you kind of got to beat a Grizzlies team with no Ja Morant. And we're trying to be realistic on this stuff as we move forward throughout the season. But it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. All right. On the other side, as we talk so much about moves that need to be made as far as the roster is concerned off of the team right now in trades, could what the Kings be missing already be on the roster? They just got to ... play better. Trey Lyles talk on the other side. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
All guests and callers join us from the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
On the move? Got somewhere to be?
Take Sacramento Kings basketball with you. The Sacktown Sports app will let you stay connected to your passion. Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with the Sacktown Sports app.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to end your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other IRS actions. Make sure you're getting the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima today for a free confidential consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Your home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
Sacktown Sports.
Could the Kings pull, quote unquote, something off without making a move? 916-339-1140. Do the Kings have to make a trade? Now, hear us out. Or hear me out. Kyle Ledbetter behind the glass. We'll see where Kyle falls on this. And I'm not saying, I want the Kings to make a move. But if you're Monty McNair and you're trying to convince yourself, the number one piece when it comes to the Kings possibly not making a move, I would say the number one thing is Trey Lyles and how Trey Lyles is playing. Keegan Murray is right there offensively. Kevin Huerter is right there offensively. You need to get something from those guys. But because of the flexibility that Trey Lyles gives you, whether it's DeMar DeRozan or Domantas Sabonis, if that guy is playing, number one, if he's playing, and number two, if he's playing well, could you convince yourself? Now, this all goes out the window probably tomorrow if you lose to the Grizzlies, and especially if John Morant doesn't play. But Trey Lyles has scored more than 10 points off the bench in 3 of the last 4 games, is what the Kings seem to be missing already on the roster. They just got to play better. You know, I had a coach in college, and he used to say something very simple. You guys could be really good, but you stink right now. You just got to play better. And he never was, the most gifted with the wording, but he would just say, just play better. Just play better. You guys have the talent. Just play better. So what if the Kings just play better? What if Trey Lyles just plays and plays better? What if Kevin Huerter just plays better? As simple as it sounds. You probably have to make a move, but you give me a beam team version of Kevin. Now, are you going to get it? I don't know. We've been waiting for it. We saw it a little bit when he first came off the bench, but you give me a beam team version. I sound like Hal Draper now with how optimistic I am. You give me a beam team version of Kevin Huerter and a beam team version of Trey Lyles, and now you have DeMar DeRozan instead of Harrison Barnes offensively, and DeMar DeRozan got a couple steals. He got the DPOG crown, so he can lock in, relatively speaking. You give me a De'Aaron Fox with a chip on his shoulder who sees a path to get all NBA and has 345 million reasons to do so. A Domantas Sabonis who's now playing for his essentially personal coach, very motivated. You put all that into a pot. Can you see the vision at all? 916 says, don't forget about Devin Carter, who balled for the G League. Believe he's going to play tonight for the G League. You put all that into a pot. Can you see the vision? Can you see the vision enough to not make a hasty move? And we have the sound, Sam Amick on the morning show, essentially saying that the Nets want too much for Cam Johnson, as far as the Kings are concerned. As far as the Kings are concerned. But can you see the vision? Hey, man, do we really want to move off of Keegan Murray? Number one, his value is probably down. And number two, we're just trying to get into what is a Cam Johnson? Are we even a Cam Johnson away right now? Now, if you start playing well, you might have that conversation. But does it really make sense? Let's just see if everybody just plays better. So I can see a world where Monty McNair could convince himself. Now, that doesn't excuse the fact that they're in this position because of some questionable moves. But now that you're here, you could kind of convince yourself that they've been playing so poorly, they've almost played themselves out of buying something as high as the prices are right now, which is an insane very Kings or Kang situation to be in.
It's that we're now considering would it be better directionally to sell or regroup for next year? I'm not saying sell off major pieces.
Yeah.
But I threw out the scenario last week, like Malcolm Brogdon for Kevin Huerter. Same caliber of player. Malcolm Brogdon's on an expiring contract. You free up $20 million this offseason.
Right.
You know,
hey, De'Aaron, look at the stuff hey, De'Aaron, we're essentially building for next season. And we'll find out if De'Aaron's okay with that, but are you trying to convince, if you are trying to convince De'Aaron, do you have to do it all? And this is what Rich Paul says, we don't know. Do you have to do it all? Is it all based on this season, or can the vision be moving into next season?
Well, so there's a bunch of different aspects of that to dissect, but let's start with the Trey Lyles of it all, because I think there's an interesting conversation there, because Trey Lyles is on an expiring contract at $8 million. The reason to trade Trey Lyles is only if you say to yourself, we don't think he's going to be on the team next year. The first question to ask, and this has been the case for a while, is do the Kings want Trey Lyles back next season? Because if they don't want him back next season, then he becomes a salary filler in a larger trade for someone who will probably occupy his roster spot next season.
Yes.
Right? A forward like a Kyle Kuzma, a Cam Johnson, someone who might start, might come off the bench and play 4. That's Trey Lyles. You know, the person who comes in would probably occupy Trey Lyles' spot on the roster. So the Kings are asking themselves, do we think Trey Lyles we want back next season? And I think 2 weeks ago, most Kings fans or people who are paying attention to the Kings would have said, why would we want him on the team anymore? He doesn't even stay on the floor. And when he is there, he's not giving them any production. And now 4 games into, Malik Monk saying that he's now back in playing shape again.
He lost a lot of pounds. He was fat.
Now Trey Lyles is putting up 12 points a game, and that bench scoring production that everyone was clamoring for feels like it's there. So I think that the Trey Lyles part of it is just ask the question, do you think the Kings want to bring Trey Lyles back next season?
And if I'm the Kings, I don't know how you do, especially if he starts playing well right now and his value starts to increase. I just don't think, unfortunately, if I were the Kings, it would be really hard to take that chance.
Sure, but even if his value increases, he's not going to make as much as he is right now. Like when he signed the 2-year, $16 million contract after the Beam Team season, even that was like, they kind of paid a lot for a role player. So I think Trey Lyles is not a league minimum guy, but he's somewhere in between $2 million and $8 million on a contract. So it's just asking the question, do you want him to occupy a roster spot that could go to either a young player or a $20 million player who they will theoretically trade for and use Trey Lyles to trade for at the deadline, like Cam Johnson or Kyle Kuzma?
Sam Amick was on the morning show, and he gave some clarity into the Cam Johnson situation. Evan Sidery is also chiming in. There seems to be a holdup in the negotiations, but it might not be for who you would think it's for. We'll tell you who it is, and we'll play that sound for you on the other side. Allen Stiles, Sacramento Sports.
Kevin Huerter plays here.
It's Huerter. He's been hot. He fires. He's still hot. Kevin Huerter from downtown has a 15-point first quarter.
Sactown Sports is your proud home of the Sacramento Kings.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave coming to you from my good friends at American Energy. Look, it's already cold outside. It's only going to get colder. American Energy wants to help you stay warm and make sure your system is operating safely. So right now is the time to take advantage of the $49 tune-up inspection. Normally $119, $49 right now, and that includes a full safety and duct inspection. And check it out. If your system's over 10 years old, and I'll bet it is, the tune-up, it's free. It's free from a company that's been in business since 1981, serving the greater Sacramento area. A+ Better Business Bureau. Check their Yelp, check their Google reviews. Don't take my word for it. Give them a call right now. $50 off your first recommended repair. If you need a new furnace, half off the price of a new unit. Check them out at theaeway.com and tell them Carmichael Dave sent you.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
The new year is upon us with promises of new beginnings and new adventures, but don't let 2024 slip away without savoring the memories made with family and friends. Hi, this is Frank LaRosa with a word about Naturewood Home Furnishings. Looking forward is always exciting, but I have a lot to appreciate in this past year, revolving around time with family and more good time spent around my Naturewood dining table. Watching my grandson with his first bite of birthday cake was priceless and reminds me that new life is the perfect balance between yesterday and today. Greet the new year with a visit to Naturewood Home Furnishings during their annual New Year sale going on now, including all the fine furniture and accessories in every department. How about a new style for the new year? Find that perfect piece of furniture that's new today and filled with future memories for tomorrow. The memories you make with your family will stay with you forever. Naturewood Home Furnishings. Off Highway 50 at Hazel. Look for the water wheel.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer? Can we sleep cooler? Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now it's our lowest price of the season on our top-selling i8 smart bed. Your best savings, plus free home delivery with an adjustable base. Exclusively at a Sleep Number store near you. All Sleep Number smart beds offer temperature solutions for your best sleep. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
No two people learn the exact same way. So how did Babbel become the award-winning language learning app? We thought of you, all of you. Take Sierra. As a visual learner, she uses Babbel's wordplay videos.
Today I'll share a quick lesson on shopping in French.
Merci beaucoup. Keith is a be in the room with real people kind of learner. So he loves the live online classes with our language experts.
Okay, class. Vos está pronto.
Estamos prontos.
However you learn, Babbel makes it easy. Try Babbel for free at babbel.com. BABBEL.com.
When you take the time to shop at Folsom Lake Honda, there's one thing you'll always find. Happy people ready to serve you. As a family-owned and operated dealership since 2009, customer service is our #1 priority. Our customers love doing business with us, and you will too. Get an instant cash offer for your trade at FolsomLakeHonda.com. We'll buy your car whether you buy from us or not. Folsom Lake Honda is your one-stop Honda shop.
Folsom Lake Honda, yeah, your one-stop Honda shop.
Hi, I'm Justin Gingery from the law firm of Gingery, Hammer & Associates. When you have been injured by the fault of another, you will want advice you can trust. If you know an attorney you can trust, I hope you call that person. But if you don't, please call me. I promise I will be the attorney you can trust, along with my entire team. I have been helping accident survivors recover compensation for their injuries for 25 years, and we can help you. There is no charge for calling. If you have an injury, just call Gingery.
Live and local, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday through Friday. Sacktown Sports.
We talked about the Kings improving internally. Now we will talk about the Kings improving externally. 916 says, I know you have a man crush on the Lakers pick, but he's not the two-way player Carter will be. Do you guys know when he will make his debut? That's from Mark. Well, I don't need the attitude, Mark. All right. Yes, I like Dalton Connect, but you don't know how good Devin Carter is going to be anyway. I do hope he's a really good two-way player, though, because that's who's on the Kings. And Dalton Connect, I think he's going to be pretty darn good, too. But to answer your question, Mark, he's with the Stockton Kings. I think the understanding is that it's about conditioning for Devin Carter. So I don't know if you would consider it as I've heard the word setback used, but I think it's just more about making sure, hey, when he gets up there, we're going to play you. So we run. So I think they just want to make sure he's good in that regard, but we're going to see Devin Carter very, very soon.
Also, to the person on the text line, yes, Devin Carter is not as good as Cam Johnson. I get it, but it's not a one-for-one swap. You're giving up essentially 4 Devin Carters to get Cam Johnson. Do you want to give up 4 Devin Carters to get Cam Johnson? I don't know.
Don't think so. Yeah, but you know,
and I'm calculating that by saying you have to trade Herter, Lyles, Devin Carter, and a draft pick.
Yes, yeah, and they're just talking about getting Devin Carter on the court and just wanted to throw a little shot at me about one Dalton Connect, who has been balling. He has been balling. All right, let's get into this Cam Johnson conversation and what Evan Sidery had to say and what this all means for one Keegan Murray. Here is Sam Amick on Cam Johnson on the morning show with Carmichael Dave and Jason Ross, who it was just Jason Ross. Here it is.
Yeah, they want to add for sure. In fact, I'm a little confused by, even internally, there's just mixed messaging. This kind of goes back to the culture question is like, you can't have some people, I mean, yes, you're going to have different opinions, but some people acting like this roster is ready-made and good to go, and that the coach was the problem. And then others who are in positions of power admitting like, no, we need to make some moves. We have some holes, back up 5, 2, 3, 4, like they're looking. That is where there's a lot of nuance with this situation, because I do think, to the front office's credit, you mentioned that ESPN story and the quote about nobody wanted to fire Mike.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just being honest with you. That is 100% the spirit that I've gotten from that side. And with that in mind, there is an acknowledgement that they need to get better. And so I wrote about Cam Johnson in this piece, and the fact that, Brooklyn and the Kings have had pretty extensive talks on that front. I think, the Nets asking price is still too rich for the Kings' blood. And as we get closer to the deadline, maybe that changes, but he does appear to be somewhat of a priority for them. And they're hoping that Brooklyn changes its stance. There's a bunch of other names we wrote last week, but yeah, they know that this roster is flawed. The DeMar DeRozan move has not been as seamless as they would had hoped for, and they're looking for solutions.
That was Sam Amick. I do find it, and I understand what Sam is saying, but I do find it funny. This was going around social media before we get into what he said about Cam Johnson. Just quickly, the Mike Brown thing, how the report, I believe the Ramona Shelburne report, nobody wanted to fire Mike Brown. And just the obvious statement is, well, somebody wanted to fire Mike Brown.
Somebody did fire Mike Brown.
So, there's somebody who wanted to fire Mike Brown. It's a very corporate thing where none of us want to make this move. Well, somebody, if you didn't, maybe it's not, maybe the semantics of it is want. We didn't want to do it, but we had to. I don't know. Somebody wanted to do it.
They didn't have to do it. They definitely did not. I cannot emphasize this enough, staring right into that camera. They did not have to do that. They chose to fire Mike Brown. So was it just Vivek?
I don't know. Is that what they're trying to allude? I don't know, but it's just funny. Nobody wanted to fire Mike Brown. Well, it seems like somebody wanted to.
Somebody with, maybe a little bit of power.
Yeah. So that gets me when I started seeing that, and people just were saying somebody wanted to.
And it wasn't like they got rid of the whole coaching staff either. It was like, nope, just Mike.
Right.
The problem was just Mike, apparently.
Right. So I that one cracks me up every time I hear it. It's just the way it all happened. I'm not, obviously Sam, loves Sam, and it's not, Sam didn't even write that. It was, I believe it was Ramona Shelburne.
No, he kind of just said like, yep, that's kind of what I'm hearing.
Yes, but somebody wanted to. Okay, let's get into what Sam Amick said. And with that being said, then Evan Sidery of Forbes Sports comes out and says, the Kings have been openly shopping a trade package consisting of Kevin Huerter and Trey Lyles for a win now upgrade. In negotiations with the Nets over Cam Johnson, it will likely take Sacramento, including their recent lottery pick, Devin Carter, to get it over the finish line. So Sam Amick is saying they're asking for too much. We have Evan Sidery alluding to it maybe being Devin Carter or a pick, right? So the Keegan Murray thing doesn't even sound like it's Keegan Murray level. If it is Devin Carter holding this thing up, I'm going to say this as respectfully as I can. What are we doing? What are we doing here? And I say that saying, what is it that the Kings want to accomplish?
What are we doing?
If that is what's holding it up, and again, I hope Devin Carter is a great player, especially if he stays on the Kings, but the Kings need to make up their mind as to what is it that they want. The Kings are acting like fans in the trade generator. You know what I mean? And I don't know if I know they don't have a lot of seconds. If they're are they trying to offer Keon? And it's Trey Lyles, Kevin Huerter, and Keon. And the Nets are saying, we'd rather have Devin Carter. I don't know. I know that they're offering more than just Trey Lyles and Kevin Huerter. Whatever that more is, it's not enough for the Nets. And what the Nets want, if it is Devin Carter, is too much for the Kings. The Kings have to make a decision, because Sam ends that saying maybe they'll drop their I guess maybe, but I don't really know why they would.
I would say the more likely scenario is some team meets their price before the deadline, because they don't have to trade Cam Johnson is the other thing. Brooklyn has shown a tendency to want to clear out this roster, and it makes sense when you're going through a long rebuild. I talked about this a little bit ago, is that when you do the full teardown, 75 to 80% of the players on Brooklyn right now will not be on Brooklyn's team opening night of 2026.
Right.
Like 2 years from now, 80% of the players on this team will not be the players on Brooklyn by 2026. So it behooves them to trade them while they have value at this point, if that's the direction the organization is committed to. But you're trading for 2.5 years of Cam Johnson. This is not a rental type trade. This is you're trading for a fundamental piece of whatever it is you're building, whether that was Aaron Gordon going from Orlando to Denver, where he's now signed an extension and is, I think, his 4th year in Denver at this point. Like, this is not like we're trading for a rental player. This is you're trading for someone who's going to be a part of your extended core for the next 2 to 3 years.
And that goes into the price tag that the Nets are asking for, right? This thing gets sticky. If you look at the Dennis Schroeder deal and why it felt like it was pretty even on both sides, but the Warriors are only getting, I believe, 1 year. Dennis Schroeder is expiring. So they're only getting 1 year of Dennis Schroeder, so the Nets could only ask for so much in that situation.
Yeah, they essentially flipped 2 second-round picks for Dennis Schroeder, because they just included DeAnthony Melton, who tore his ACL, as a salary filler. So they basically were like, we'll give up draft capital for a win now move.
So that's the difference between a Dennis Schroeder and a Cam Johnson, and why a lot of these price tags continue to change and continue to fluctuate. And Cam Johnson, who's playing really well, also is going to be on your team for a couple years. That's a big deal.
And which, by the way, the happy medium is the deal Brooklyn just did with Finney Smith and Shake Milton, where they got both. They got D'Angelo Russell, fan favorite short-term player, and 3 second-round picks, and Maxwell Lewis, who obviously got hurt last night. But players who are players and picks part of their future, and a win now in D'Angelo Russell.
Div on the Sack Chat says, I feel like you only dish off Devin Carter if you know Fox is staying. And I've heard from a couple people, hey, what if Devin Carter, is the next De'Aaron Fox or something to that level? Look, I know Devin Carter is really highly regarded, and Fryer, and shout out to Providence and all these things. I don't know if that's how it works, simply because of the lack of assets that the Kings have. So I get your thought process, but I don't think the Kings have enough other assets to play with to be that particular. Because unless Keon Ellis, and I know that somebody listening is going to say, well, you can't move Keon. So unless Keon Ellis has similar value to a Devin Carter, and honestly, I'm not sure that he does. We know this from Brock Purdy conversations. Draftism is a real thing, right? And being a first-round pick, even if in what is supposed to be a horrendous draft, that matters. So I would say that if you're the Nets, you're giving up Cam Johnson, you're going to do it for somebody drafted in the first round versus someone who's playing better than expected as an undrafted drafted 2-year guy who bounced back and forth from the G League, and Keon Ellis. So that type of stuff matters, because if you're right on something, if you're wrong on something, it's easier to say, hey, well, he was a first-round pick. I mean, we thought he would be pretty good, versus Keon hits a wall. You gave up Cam Johnson for Kevin Huerter, Trey Lyles, and Keon Ellis. That's kind of harder to walk back to your boss than, hey, we did a deal for a first-round pick and it just didn't work out. So those are some of the conversations there. What does all of this mean for one Keegan Murray? And the phone lines are starting to line up, so we will get to you on the other side. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Trying to find out where to catch your favorite team's games?
Are you a fan of the Kings, Niners, and the NFL? Well, Sacktown Sports has you covered.
Touchdown! San Francisco! It's all on his shoulders. Cox rocks. He fires for the win. He's got the triple.
Catch all your Kings, Niners, and NFL games all year long on Sacktown Sports and SacktownSports.com.
Hey, this is Greg Papa. Are you working through a major insurance claim? SunPoint Public Adjusters can help. SunPoint prepares, presents, and negotiates your claim with the insurance company, working only for you, making sure you get everything you're entitled to, not what just some adjuster working for an insurance company thinks you should get. Call SunPoint today at 888-247-7865 or contact us at sunpoint.us. SunPoint Public Adjusters, the gold standard in public adjusting.
License number 2N14884.
You guys got a new Honda? Well, it was like this. My mom was driving me to school when, bam, our car started smoking. My mom wasn't happy, so she called my dad and said, honey, if you value your life and our marriage, you'll take care of this now. So my dad calls up Stockton Honda and was like, can you get me approved for a new car and save my marriage? And they're all, sure, Mr. Jones, we do this every day. And just like that, Stockton Honda to the rescue.
StocktonHonda.com. No two people learn the exact same way. So how did Babbel become the award-winning language learning app? We thought of you, all of you. Take Sierra. As a visual learner, she uses Babbel's wordplay videos.
Today I'll share a quick lesson on shopping in French.
Merci beaucoup. Keith is a be in the room with real people kind of learner, so he loves the live online classes with our language experts.
Okay, class. Vos está pronto.
Estamos prontos.
However you learn, Babbel makes it easy. Try Babbel for free at Babbel.com, Babbel.com.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now it's our lowest price of the season on our top-selling i8 smart bed. Your best savings, plus free home delivery with an adjustable base. Exclusively at a Sleep Number store near you. All Sleep Number smart beds offer temperature solutions for your best sleep. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
It's a myth to think you don't play golf well enough to get fitted for golf clubs. The professionals at the Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio would argue that playing the game with golf clubs properly fitted to your body and swing characteristics is the best way to improve your game and have more fun on the golf course. With a professional staff of fitters, all the major brands of equipment, and cutting-edge technology featuring TrackMan, the indoor-outdoor Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio is worth a look. See for yourself, Fulton Avenue at the Cap City Freeway. Schedule your fitting at 916-808-2531, 808-2531.
Sacramento's premier country music festival, Country in the Park, is coming back May 16th and 17th at Cal Expo with Bailey Zimmerman, Billy Currington, Cole Wetzel, Nate Smith, and more. You'll enjoy food trucks, rock walls, and a mechanical bull, line dancing, and more. Single-day GA tickets start at $52 at CITPFest.com. Country in the Park, May 16th and 17th with Hoblit Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram Center. Find out more at CITPFest.com.
It's the year-end sell-a-thon at Folsom Lake Ford. Get last chance year-end savings on your favorite new Ford models. Low payments and low finance rates while they last. Shop Folsom Lake Ford and tell them DC sent you. FolsomLakeFord.com.
Your home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
Sacktown Sports.
This is why you wait until the trade deadline to see if you want to include Devin Carter in a trade. If he balls out over the next month, you can see if that's something you want to build on. That's a good point. That's a good point. But the other thing can happen too, right? The other side of it can happen. If you think about cars, I mean, you drive something off the lot. I mean, he'd have to really ball out. Right now, he has the sky is the limit, if you will, because he hasn't played yet. So you're betting on reality versus imagination. And the imagination, I think a lot of times can be more valuable than what reality is. Not necessarily saying that's going to be the case. what I am, again, this all goes back to what the Kings' thought process is now. Is it about building, moving forward with De'Aaron Fox as far as this season? Are you trying to do something this season, or are you trying to show some good will for De'Aaron that you're moving in the right direction and you're going to hit it hard this summer? That's really what this comes back down to. We're about to get into what this means for Keegan Murray, but Ty is waiting on the line, 916-339-1140. If you want to be a part of the conversation, what's up, Ty? What you got for us?
Hey, how you doing?
Good,
I just want to chime in a little bit on a few things, but first of all, I just want to talk about Keegan Murray.
Okay.
Quick question. Has Keegan Murray been with us for little over 2 years?
Yes.
Okay. I think he's doing an outstanding job as far as his defensive presence, playing defense, getting assignments that he gets with covering Ant-Man or different players they have throughout the NBA. He gets that number one assignment, and he does a good job for his second year. So to get rid of him, is Cam Johnson, was he at that level as his second year into the league? I don't think so. And then De'Aaron Fox, to chime on what Doug Christie said, that's an elite player that we have. He has speed, he has talent, he can put up a amount of points. He's not the one that's at fault. The starting lineup that we have right now is doing a tremendous job, and I think just be patient with him. We can continue to win, but our only thing we're lacking in production, and I know you're going to hang the phone up on me when I say this, but we're not getting anything from Kevin Huerter off the bench. He's playing 20 minutes and he gets 2 points. And when he came in yesterday and he was trying to guard, what's his name for the Sixers, he scored 2 threes. Paul George, 3 2 threes, a 2. So just the 2 minutes in his span, he comes in every time it's 6 minutes in the first quarter. That's when we fall off. That's when we, defer to 15-7 when he came in. Now we're down 22-17.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Ty. No, I'm not going to hang up on you. It's great stuff right there. I would say this and I asked Jason Ross this question this morning during the crosstalk, right? And you can look up Cam Johnson. I know we continue to hear about Cam Johnson, but you can look up his stats, look up what he's done throughout his career and who he has been. He was pretty darn good on the Suns when the Suns were making those runs, when they had Chris Paul and before they went the KD route. The question is that I asked Jason Ross is, do you think Keegan Murray will be better than Cam Johnson? And Jason Ross said, and I got to go back, but to paraphrase, Jason Ross said, I think so, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't think it's 100% a guarantee. So, and again, that's not the name that's being brought up. The name that's being brought up is a Trey Lyles, Kevin Huerter, and Devin Carter for one Cam Johnson. But if you had to do that or whatever decision you make as far as Keegan versus Cam Johnson, I know what Cam Johnson is, I believe. I know he's having a really good season. And Dennis Schroeder went to the Warriors from having a really good season and has cooled off. It's basically everyone's nightmare. You trade for a hot player, right? In baseball, somebody's having a career year, you trade for that guy, and then he comes back to the reality. So, or worse than reality. So I get it. Cam Johnson is playing a lot better than he has played. And maybe Brooklyn, knowing that they can go to good places, they've been balling out a little bit. So we get all that. But Cam Johnson, I think, a pretty darn good defender. I think Keegan would have him defensively. But Cam Johnson is a knockdown shooter. So if you look at their skill sets, and I never thought that Keegan was going to be somebody that's going to cook off the dribble and things like that. So I think I agree with Jason Ross to where I think Keegan is going to be better than Cam Johnson, but I don't know that for sure. So when you are operating in that realm, now again, you hope you can just keep both of them, but when you're operating in that realm, I don't think it can be a holdup for you. So again, not the name that's being brought up, but a game like last night, you were definitely missing Keegan's defense. But I can't even say that I'm missing Keegan's offense because you haven't seen it in all season long anyway.
It wasn't like the offense was killing it before last night either. It was just at the end of the game that they really kind of got it together. I mean, they were on pace to barely crack 100 points until the last 3 or 4 minutes of the game. So it wasn't like the offense was really killing it last night either. But obviously, Keegan Murray has been struggling on the offensive end. So you don't, when they put up 110 points and win, you're like, okay, we can live without his offensive struggles, apparently. And defensively, I mean, they held it down at the end of the game.
And again, we saw, the Nuggets game when Aaron Gordon just was doing whatever he wanted.
Oh, just putting DeRozan in the post.
I mean, it's just ridiculous. So we understand how important Keegan Murray is defensively. I think the question becomes, at what point are we going to find out if Keegan Murray is actually a two-way player? Because right now, he played really good on offense his first year in the league. And ever since they've kind of said, this guy can guard too, he can't shoot. So when is it fair to say maybe he's not a two-way guy, or maybe you're a two-way guy, but he's being we had those minutes, right? Keegan was number 4 in the toughest matchup minutes in the league. So maybe he is a two-way guy, but you're just asking him to do way too much right now.
Or at the very least, the new offense that they're running, which is a starting lineup of Fox, Monk, DeRozan, Sabonis, and Keegan, puts him in the Harrison Barnes role a little bit too much, and that is not beneficial for Keegan's offensive game, right? He's still getting to the lane, he's still scoring at the rim, but the shooting is just completely fallen off the table by like 11 percentage points compared to where it was his rookie season. So if the shooting is going to completely fall off the table, how do we get him back in that comfort zone? Or is this going to be what Keegan is going forward because we can't bend the offense to get him more involved?
I also think a part of that is you're going to hold on to DeRozan, or you kind of have to. You're going to still have De'Aaron Fox. You have Domantas Sabonis. Now you're going to add Cam Johnson. To me, I know it's turning into a wing-driven league and you can never have too much, but doesn't that start to get isn't that a tad redundant with Cam Johnson and Keegan Murray if he's already having issues finding his way in the offense? Then you bring in a Cam Johnson as well?
I would say no, because the reason to bring in Cam Johnson is to play Keegan at the 3 more often and have more lengthy defenders on the floor, which is something the Kings haven't had for damn near 5 years.
But offensively, I'm trying to figure out, specifically about Keegan Murray, I'm trying to figure out how he's developing when you have Cam Johnson, who's taking shots, right? That's why he's a two-way guy. Cam Johnson, who's a knockdown shooter. DeMar DeRozan, maybe it's DeMar DeRozan who takes more of a back seat.
I guess the question is, do you envision Keegan and Cam Johnson playing on the floor at the same time more often than not?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, and I just think the answer is we don't know, because we don't know what we'd have to give up to bring in Cam Johnson.
916-339-1140. Let's get to Sed, who wants to be a part of the conversation. What's up, Sed? What you got for us?
Thank you, and Happy New Year's to all.
Happy New Year.
Okay, so, I've been following the Kings this season more so. And, the original call was for more bench players to have more of an active role. And that seemed to be what the prior coach was harping on. Now, I don't think there's anything wrong with your starting lineup. And I think Keegan Murray is one of those players that in the years to come, he's going to play his weight. Now, I don't know much about Johnson, so I readily admit that. But I do look at your bench minutes, and I agree with the caller prior to me. You're not getting anything out of Herter, and it seems like he gets coveted by the announcing crew, by you guys, by the Sacramento crew, and I mean, how many players do you know that can average 20 minutes and only give you 5 points His average is 9 points. He gets maybe 4 to 5 rebounds. 3 of them just bounce to him. The defense is non-existent, and you can't win anything without defense.
I think we lost Sed, but we got the idea. Thanks for the call, Sed. I'm glad that you're following the Kings more closely this season. Well, I'll tell you this much. Maybe you are newer to the show because I have been nothing but hard on Kevin Huerter as far as when he was in the starting lineup and now even as a bench player. You have to get something from Kevin Huerter. And he's been in trade talks for the last 2 years. So that tells you where his value kind of falls. It's a very tradable contract. That's part of it. But also, I don't think he would be in these conversations if we saw Kevin Huerter from a couple years ago. But yeah, I can't speak to anybody else or, as far as the other SAC media is concerned, but and I know fans everybody's been really hard on Kevin Huerter. I think you'll see people come in and try to defend Kevin Huerter when he has some good games here. But yeah, Kevin Huerter, I don't think is protected at all. I think there have been a lot of kind of tough situations with Kevin Huerter just navigating this whole thing to where he got benched a couple times last season. Okay, but Chris Duarte just wasn't that good at basketball. So Kevin Huerter got an opportunity. Then he got back his opportunity. Then he got injured. Going into this season, you were waiting for Kevin Huerter to get going. He didn't get going. They decided to make the change, bring him off the bench. It looked really good. What was that, a 3 to 4 game stretch where everyone thought,
oh, yeah,
we unlocked Kevin Huerter. And then you didn't.
Those magical first 5 games when they moved Malik to the starting lineup and Kevin was coming off the bench and he was averaging, I think it was 15.2 points per game. Oh, my God. It was so good. Yeah. So glorious.
And he's got a quick release. I don't know if it's his he took 8 shots, right? So at least he took 8 shots. That's more than what Keegan didn't play last night. But I just feel like whether it's Huerter, Keon, even though Keon got him up, I just want them to be more like Doug McDermott. I see so many pump fakes from the Kings on the perimeter. You're in there to shoot the basketball.
I don't know about that, Styles. Doug had that crazy one last night where he kind of pump faked it and just dropped the ball.
Well, that was terrible.
I don't know if this is the right day to bring up that example. Doug had a crazy, that meme that was going around of whatever quarterback it was throwing it and not letting go.
Kenny Pickett.
Yeah,
Kenny Pickett.
That was Doug last night.
No, but in general, Doug is in there to shoot. He's got a quick release. When he gets the ball, he shoots. Keon be pump faking too much. Kevin Huerter be pump faking too much. You're in there to shoot the basketball, right? Now, whether the ball goes in or not, and that's more of what Sed is kind of talking about with Kevin Huerter, that's a different conversation. But yeah, nobody, I know me in particular, I've been pretty darn hard on Kevin Huerter, and he's got to play better. And they're actively trying to move off of Kevin Huerter. They just haven't been able to do it. So great stuff there from Sed. Keep following the Kings. Hopefully you're the good luck charm, Sed, in this new year, and the Kings can stay undefeated in 2025. Let's continue the conversation. Are the Kings convincing you that they are back? And NBA All-Star voting returns. So let's check out where De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis are. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
The only place you'll find De'Aaron Fox is Sacktown Sports.
Spins away from the defender. In the paint. Soft floater. That's a great play by De'Aaron Fox.
Hey, Sacramento. It's De'Aaron Fox, and you're listening to the home of the Sacramento Kings, Sacktown Sports.
Your local sports leader.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-583-5795. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-583-5795. That's 800-583-5795. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Bonneville International Radio Station contests are open to participants at least 18 years of age and older that are residents of California and who reside in one of the 6 counties that make up the Sacramento metro area, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest are not eligible to win, unless the station otherwise specifies in its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 30 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. For a copy of the general contest rules, visit KHTK.com.
Yeah, that's my girl in the
Dylan Scott, Country Till I Die Tour.
That's my girl.
Platinum selling artist Dylan Scott. With special guests Jackson Dean and Avery Anna.
You just can't have mine. Thank God she loves me. God knows I got so lucky.
Friday, January 10th, 7 p.m. The venue at Thunder Valley. For tickets, visit ThunderValleyResort.com.
Serious accident. You deserve the law offices of Jeremy Winter. 877-637-3237. Jeremy lost his mother in a car accident and knows firsthand the pain caused by tragedy. That is why he became an attorney to fight for others who are going through a tragedy. If you've been seriously injured in an accident, you deserve more. You deserve better. You deserve Jeremy Winter. 877-637-3237.
Happy New Grill. Whitey here reminding you that not all grills are created equal. Give your family a real treat as we did on Christmas Eve. Bring out all the flavors of the new year with the amazing Napoleon Prestige line of outdoor cookers. Napoleon grills have features other grills can't match. They're built different, built better, built to last. Complete with a lifetime warranty and premium steel that boasts absolute quality. Whitey and Napoleon Grills wish you Happy New Year. Visit Green Acres Nursery today for your best selection of Napoleon grills and accessories.
KHTK HD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento.
Your home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
Hammer time thrown down by the league.
From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
Sacktown Sports, 1140. The only station in Sacramento giving you local sports coverage from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. Sacktown Sports.
Hour 4 is upon us. Thank you for rocking with us. If you've been with us for all 4 hours, or if you're just now joining us, or if you were with us, had to leave, go to a doctor's appointment, drop off the kids somewhere, drop off the dog or cat somewhere, and now you're back. Thanks for coming back. Speaking of back, I'm hearing word on the street, Whitey Gleason may be back today.
As far as I'm aware.
Okay.
Even though he did come in the day that Mike Brown got fired.
We're going to get some confirmation on that. I know. I mean, the Kings just really picked a terrible time for this stuff. People trying to take vacations, got to come in, got to do random shows.
I don't know. It could have been worse. They could have fired Mike Brown the day after the Pacers game, which would have been right before Christmas.
That's also true. That's also true. From Dennis of Stockton, shout out Stockton. I believe Keegan's issues are he didn't get time to develop before he was asked to become our number 1 defender, as well as like Tyreek Evan was rookie of the year. And then after the rest of the year, the league got film on him, he didn't do well after that. I think it's a good point, Dennis. Things have been accelerated pretty quickly for Keegan because of need, right? In a perfect world, you have a Matisse Thybulle or somebody on your team that is really there to defend and to defend by itself. Now, a lot of these teams, you have to do something offensively, but let's think about like a Nikhil Alexander Walker and a Jaden McDaniels. Jaden McDaniels, Nikhil can come in and Jaden McDaniels can take a breather, or if they're both playing, Jaden McDaniels, who is an elite defender, he's getting there. Right now, Dyson Daniels on the Hawks is pretty much just there to defend. So they're not asking him to do anything offensively yet, right? But he's defending. I think he was number 1 on that list for the toughest matchup minutes. A lot of these guys, let's think about a Jalen Suggs. Jalen Suggs was also on that list. They need more of him offensively now because their 2 stars have been out with Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero. But when they're in, Jalen Suggs can mostly just focus on defense. So Keegan, they said, hey, Keegan, we're going to make you this. You're going to be this elite defender and really just guard these elite scores, but we're also going to need you offensively. And it's every time Keegan is on the floor. If there was a guy who you could bring in and Keegan is still playing, but Keegan has some off minutes, essentially what they're able to do sometimes with De'Aaron Fox and Keon Ellis, to where De'Aaron can just focus on his offense. That's how you would have wanted this thing to go. Thinking about swimming lessons, Baby Styles has taken some swimming lessons. You either take swimming lessons and you start in the shallow end and things progress, or you get thrown in the pool. And people have honestly different thoughts on both. You know, everyone's got that mom or dad who says, just throw them in the pool and they'll figure it out, as long as we're watching them, of course. But there are a lot of people that say, no, go through the lessons, go in the shallow end and get there this way. Keegan didn't really have that opportunity. Keegan just got thrown in the pool.
Well, I remember a couple years ago when I was filling in on shows all across the station, people kept having the same conversation, which was the 2022 draft class when Keegan was a rookie. One, he was a couple years older than a lot of the people in his draft class because he played 3 years of college basketball. Mm-hmm. But additionally, that season, he was the only player other than, I want to say, Jalen Williams for the Thunder, who was part of a playoff team. Paolo Banchero and the Magic were rebuilding. Jabari Smith and the Rockets were rebuilding. Jaden Ivey was rebuilding. Benedict Mathurin and the Pacers missed the playoffs. Sharp and the Blazers missed the playoffs. Sohan and the Spurs were bad. Johnny Davis and Washington. I'm just going down the draft class right now, and it's like Keegan was on a 48-win team that was the number 1 offense in the NBA. And so not only was he coming into the league a couple years older than his peers, mm-hmm. he was also on a team that was in a win-now situation, which every other team in the lottery was not in that position. So even then, his development trajectory was changed even from year 1 to now. This isn't just a new phenomenon of what this looks like in a DeMar DeRozan offense.
And I do think what's funny is how we view things, right? So Dwayne Baker on the Sack Chat, Dwayne will always speak his mind. We love Dwayne for it. Dwayne says on the Sack Chat, Dyson Daniels is, in all caps, scoring this season. Check the stats. So I have the stats right here. And I think it's funny how 2 guys get viewed differently, because Keegan Murray is averaging 11.6 points a game, 7.4 rebounds, and 1.4 assists, right? On 28% from 3 and 41% from the field. Dyson Daniels is averaging 12.9 points per game, 5.1 rebounds per game, 3.6 assists per game, shooting 31% from 3. So Dyson Daniels is averaging essentially 1 point more than Keegan Murray. And because of expectation, Dyson Daniels is quote unquote scoring, and Keegan Murray is a brick.
Meanwhile, Keegan Murray's first 2 seasons in the league both had better offensive numbers than Dyson Daniels' best season, because this is Daniels' best season on offense.
By far. He's played in 150 games. He averages 6 points. So maybe Dyson Daniels is going to end up being nasty. Well, maybe, but he averaged 6.5 points per game in his career. And that's with it being brought up from this season.
And since there's still time for this season to finish and them to match each other, I can say definitively Dyson Daniels' best season is still worse than Keegan Murray's best season offensively. Mm-hmm. That's just a fact. Dyson Daniels' best season on offense this year is not as good as both of the last 2 seasons from Keegan.
No, but he beats Keegan this year, but I do think it's interesting how things get viewed as far as what everyone's expectations are, and I think they were really high. So with that being said, Dyson Daniels is only 21. right? And I don't want to get kind of hung up on the back and forth because maybe he does end up being really, really good. But he is still, I would argue, the argument remains that he is not getting pushed into the pool scoring-wise. He is getting, hey, okay, this guy's doing a lot of defending. When you look at that offense for the Hawks, and who knows what the Hawks are doing, but they're not depending on Dyson Daniels scoring the same way we're looking around, essentially depending on Keegan Murray. But I do think it's a great comparison. So thank you for that, Dwayne, as we continue the conversation on all of this. Kyle, you have some information on the NBA All-Star voting.
Yes, we do. So the first round of votes have just come through, and I want to pose questions to you and the Sack Chat. So we'll start off in the Western Conference because the East, it's interesting, but we're more focused on the Kings right now.
Right.
So of the guards in the Western Conference, where would you guess De'Aaron Fox ranks?
This is just fan voting?
Fan voting. Where would De'Aaron Fox rank among all guards in the Western Conference in the first round of fan voting?
This is always tough. I mean, I'm sure Luka's up there, even though he's been injured just for no reason. Oh, my goodness. I don't know, man. I'm going to say you got the Steph Currys of the world. I'm going to say De'Aaron is out of guards. I don't want to be disrespectful. I'm going to say 8.
Okay. We'll start there. Keep that answer in your back pocket. Now I'm going to say, so we talked about before, De'Aaron's trying to make All-NBA this season.
Right.
Again, this is fan voting.
Mm-hmm.
Where does De'Aaron Fox rank among total votes among all guards in the entire league? Where does De'Aaron Fox rank in voting? If you added up all the votes of the East and the West, where does De'Aaron Fox rank in terms of guards in fan voting?
Well, if I said, what did I say, 7?
You said 8.
8 for West. And he's probably higher than that. So I'm going to try to hedge my bet here and say that I'll call him 12th.
Okay. So for the first question, Mr. Stiles, you were exactly correct. De'Aaron Fox is 8th in guards among Western Conference.
In the West?
In the West. You were exactly correct. He is 8th in terms of the whole league. I'll list the names in a second. He is 16th. 16th in total votes among guards in the NBA. Let's go through the guards in the West first. Number 1, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Number 2, Luka Doncic. Number 3, Steph Curry. Number 4, Kyrie Irving. Number 5, Anthony Edwards. Number 6, James Harden. Number 7, Ja Morant. And number 8, De'Aaron Fox. Rounding it out, number 9, Devin Booker. And number 10, Norm Powell.
I mean, that makes sense. That's how these things go. It's a popularity contest.
The only one I would say is James Harden. That's the only one that I look at. I'm like, really? James Harden? James Harden got nearly twice as many votes as De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah, and I don't know off the top of my head how many games Luke has missed, but he's missed a good bit.
He's not going to make All-NBA this year. He's not going to get to the 65-game threshold.
Right. But that has no bearing, I guess, on the All-Star game. Right. Fan voting, at least.
Yeah, I want to list off the names of the guards in the East before we move on. LaMelo Ball, number 1. Donovan Mitchell, number 2. Damian Lillard, 3. Jalen Brunson, 4. Trey Young, 5. Cade Cunningham, 6. Tyrese Maxey, 7, with more votes than De'Aaron Fox. Jordan Poole, 8, with more votes than De'Aaron Fox. So Jordan Poole has 32,000 more votes than De'Aaron Fox.
Who do you blame that on?
I don't know. I just think it's funny.
I don't want to blame it on the fans, but it is fan voting.
De'Aaron Fox has slightly more votes than Tyler Hero.
Absurd. Where was Ja Morant?
Ja Morant, 7. But he's got nearly...
In the West?
In the West guards, and he's got almost 90,000 more votes than De'Aaron Fox.
I hate this so much.
Yeah, I get it. All right, let's go to the front court. Where does Domantas Sabonis land among front court players in the West?
Domas, I mean, I think it's going to be similar, right? I mean, you got LeBron, you got AD, you got Wemby. Yeah, I don't know where the Şengün's of the world are going to fall. So I think pretty similar. I think Domas, I'll go 6.
All right, Domantas. And then just real quick, where do you think Domas ranks among the entire league?
14th.
Okay, you were pretty close. Domas is 9th in the Western Conference and 17th across the entire league among front court players. In the West, we have Nikola Jokic, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Victor Wembanyama, Alperen Şengün, Jalen Williams for the Thunder, and Andrew Wiggins of the Warriors coming in ahead of Domantas Sabonis.
Nuts. And then the East.
In the East, we have the number 1 vote getter in the entire league, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Then you have Jason Tatum, Karl Anthony Towns. Those 3 are just blowing it away. They all have like twice as much as the next closest person, which is Paolo Banchero, then Jaylen Brown, Jimmy Butler, Franz Wagner, Joel Embiid still coming in ahead of Domantas Sabonis.
Well, you said Paolo. Paolo hasn't played in like 3 months.
Yeah, I know. Paolo, Joel Embiid, and Paul George at number 9.
And he's been out.
Yeah, Paul George has the same number of votes as Domantas Sabonis.
So brutal. All right, on the other side, are the Kings convincing you they're back? If not, what do they have to do? We are going to open back up the phone lines one last time before Whitey Gleason joins us. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
The only place you'll find Kevin Herter is Sacktown Sports.
Herter's open, steps into 3. He's got the triple.
Hey, Sacramento, it's Kevin Herter, and you're listening to the home of the Sacramento Kings, Sacktown Sports.
Your local sports leader.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline Nasal Spray?
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body?
Huh?
That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
Your home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
Sacktown Sports.
$45 more minutes with you, Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports. Kyle just ticked a lot of people off with the All-Star. Hey, look, get out there and vote. Gotta get out there and vote.
Yeah, at this point, I'm just like, there's no point in even telling people to vote. There's just no way the Kings can. This has happened like 3 years in a row where it's like some laughably underrated person, like Andrew Wiggins always has more votes. I would say go out and vote because it's always a good thing to go out and vote, but it really doesn't matter. They need the coaches and they need the players to get Domas or Fox into the All-Star game. It's just not going to happen.
It's just not going to happen. And guys that haven't played since 2024. See what I did there? In front of Domantas Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox.
Even Jordan Poole has more votes than De'Aaron Fox. If Jordan Poole has more votes than De'Aaron Fox, I'm like, dude, we can't. There's no saving that one.
Yeah, what are we actually doing? Now, let's get to the subject that is the Sacramento Kings and whether or not you feel like they are back or not. If you are asking me this question, and I'm asking you all out there, of course, 916-339-1140. Are the Kings back? Yeah, I can't say that. I'm not doing it. And look, I loved the video that they put out, the Kings did, of Doug Christie. And Kyle, we can play that again for all of our later listeners here, this video that Doug Christie put out. And I love all of it, but I can't say they're back yet. Here's the video.
Y'all are the light of this city, man.
And when you like that, it means something to people. You understand what I'm saying? And when you come and rock the way that you guys is rocking, you're going to continue to lift them, and that's what we're here to do. So continue to be that light. Coaches, everybody in this one. Yes, sir. Hey, what you got, Five? Keep it going. Together on 3. 1, 2, 3. Together.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Love it. Want some more of it, but I cannot say that the Kings are back yet.
It was cool though that
it was really cool.
He took the team up on the roof and they're standing under the beam to do their post-game locker room stuff. It was pretty cool.
No, they're building something, and it's tough because they're building something in a situation where they are very far behind the 8 ball. So every loss is going to sting like crazy, and there is no way they're going to go undefeated. So we understand that reality, but you got to continue to win games. You got to continue to build before I can say that they are back. Because really, what does back mean? Back from what? I don't know if the Kings have been back since the Beam Team season. What are they back from?
Back to being fun?
Back to being fun. I like that. I like that call.
I guess. I would say.
Well, I would say then yes, they're back. I do think they're back to being fun.
I would still say no, because they looked like they were going to lose to the 13-win Sixers until literally the greatest final 3 minutes maybe the Kings have ever played in their entire franchise's history. So no, I'm a little less mad than last week, but I'm still going to articulate the same point. I'm just mad at the organization for giving up so soon. Like deciding 31 games into the season that Mike Brown was not going to be the guy after he won Coach of the Year 18 months ago, has the 3rd best winning percentage in franchise history as a coach. I'm just mad that they gave up so fast, because it's going to take 30 games to get back to the good vibes that they were having before. And now what's going to happen for the next month? We're going to be obsessed with trade candidates. Are they going to make a roster upgrade? And I'm just mad that they gave up so soon.
Banta the Young on the Sack Chat says, this guy is so doom and gloom. I think you're talking about me, Banta. Put some respect on my name. You can see it right there. I don't think I'm doom and gloom, to be honest with you. I mean, the team is 4 games under 500. And look, I never know when people chime in here and when people are able to listen. But for 4 hours, we do a show here. And I mean, we started it off talking about how happy we were that the Kings won. But the reality is they got work to do, right? I mean, this is not, what they say when your kid's playing soccer, they don't play for tangerines and grapes, So, I mean, there is a world where you can maybe you can't, but I can compartmentalize and enjoy a win and be happy that the Kings won, but also understand that they need to be better. Nobody is sitting here doom and gloom. Again, don't know when people can chime in and, maybe what you heard is doom and gloom. Who knows? But I would say in general, if anything, I'm realistic. These last weeks for the Kings have stunk for fans. They've stunk for everybody involved. A coach got fired. And I can sit here and say, if you want to say that the Kings are back, cool. Kyle, you saying they're back, they could be back to being fun. What are they back to being? Everybody is entitled to their opinion. And maybe if being real or having a real opinion is doom and gloom, maybe I am doom and gloom. But when a team is 4 games under 500 and have had some of the unthinkable losses that the Kings have been, that'll make you doom and gloom. And by the way, the fun thing about doing content like this and doing a radio show is because the very next tweet or the very next text or the very next whatever will say, why are you so happy the Kings just beat a team with no Joel Embiid and a Mavs team that's missing 4 starters? So that's why I love it, because you're never going to make everybody happy. But me doom and gloom? No. I don't think so.
No, it could be a whole lot more doom. I could get up here and start saying what I actually think about the decision for Mike Brown in a way that, would probably be a little too far.
Get you a call. Nobody needs a call from the principal's office.
Yeah, I could go a little further. The word I've used is indefensible. There are other words I could use to describe it, but indefensible is the way to start. But again, they believe that Doug Christie has a chance to be the full long-term solution at the head coaching position. And we talked about it earlier. If they believe that's the case, that is the literal one of, if not the only reason I can think of for firing a coach mid-season, is if you think that person's replacement has a chance to be the long-term coach. And clearly Vivek and I guess to a certain extent Monty believe that Doug Christie has a legitimate shot to be the long-term coach of the Sacramento Kings.
Let's reevaluate the Sacramento Kings. What would you be happy with when the season ends? Have your expectations changed? Would you still be mad if they missed the playoffs? Or maybe based on how everything went down, you wouldn't mind the same way? We got one more segment, then we got Crosstalk with Whitey Gleason, ... we think. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
You never know what you might hear when listening to a Sacramento Kings game.
Out of Keegan, going for another triple. Man, is he feeling it. Can he do it? Yes, there's number 11, Keegan Murray. Keegan steps back. He just knocked down his 12th three-pointer, a Kings franchise record. He's got 45 points.
Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with Sacktown Sports and the Sacktown Sports app.
No two people learn the exact same way. So how did Babbel become the award-winning language learning app? We thought of you, all of you. Take Sierra. As a visual learner, she uses Babbel's wordplay videos.
Today I'll share a quick lesson on shopping in French.
Merci beaucoup. Keith is a be in the room with real people kind of learner. So he loves the live online classes with our language experts.
Okay, class. Vos está pronto.
Estamos prontos.
However you learn, Babbel makes it easy. Try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now it's our lowest price of the season on our top-selling i8 smart bed. Your best savings, plus free home delivery with an adjustable base. Exclusively at a Sleep Number store near you. All Sleep Number smart beds offer temperature solutions for your best sleep. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
It's the year-end sell-a-thon at Folsom Lake Ford. Get last chance year-end savings on your favorite new Ford models. Low payments and even 0% financing with approved credit. Hurry to Folsom Lake Ford and tell them DC sent you. FolsomLakeFord.com.
Tom's Watch Bar, your ultimate sports watching destination for all Kings games, hosted live by Sacktown Sports. With 360-degree viewing, surround sound, premium food and drink, and game day vibes that match being at the game, Tom's Watch Bar is the ultimate game day experience for all Sacramento Kings fans.
Sacramento's premier country music festival, Country in the Park, is coming back May 16th and 17th at Cal Expo with Bailey Zimmerman, Billy Currington, Cole Wetzel, Nate Smith, and more. You'll enjoy food trucks, rock walls, and a mechanical bull, line dancing, and more. Single-day GA tickets start at $52 at CITPFest.com. Country in the Park, May 16th and 17th with Hoblit Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram Center. Find out more at CITPFest.com.
When you take the time to shop at Folsom Lake Honda, there's one thing you'll always find. Happy people ready to serve you. As a family-owned and operated dealership since 2009, customer service is our #1 priority. Our customers love doing business with us, and you will too. Get an instant cash offer for your trade at FolsomLakeHonda.com. We'll buy your car whether you buy from us or not. Folsom Lake Honda is your one-stop Honda shop.
Folsom Lake Honda, yeah, your one-stop Honda shop. Yeah, that's my girl in the
Dylan Scott, Country Till I Die Tour.
That's my girl.
Platinum selling artist Dylan Scott. With special guests Jackson Dean and Avriana.
You just can't have mine. Thank God she loves me. God knows I got so lucky.
Friday, January 10th, 7 p.m. The venue in Thunder Valley. For tickets, visit ThunderValleyResort.com.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave for American Energy Heating and Air with a question. Have you recently had a technician diagnose your HVAC system and you were a bit surprised at how much it cost? Or did something seem off about their quote? Because at American Energy, they take pride in giving you honest, straightforward solutions to get that system up and running. Have their qualified technicians come out and give you a free second opinion. It's free. You got nothing to lose but some dollars off of that original quote. They're making the uncomfortable comfortable. They've been doing it since 1981, serving the greater Sacramento area. A+ with the Better Business Bureau. That's why they keep having customers coming back for more and more and more. You can call them and set that appointment at 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990 or AmericanEnergyAir.com.
Call 916-520-9998 now.
Your flagship station for the Beam Team, Sacktown Sports.
30 more minutes with you. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports, taking up to 2 p.m. Whitey Gleason is in the building, so he will join us in about 15 minutes. I was having some fun with one of our listeners, or viewers, if you will, who said, this guy is so doom and gloom, talking about me, I think. And I go to the text line, and the first text that I see from the 916, regardless of the last 2 wins, this team is still really bad. It's tough to watch a whole game. I don't think that. I don't feel like that.
I mean, it was fun yesterday.
Yeah, I think it was fun. You win. I don't ever watch a game after, and I'm especially with this Kings team, and I don't know that, and I'm not saying that the 916 is saying that they're upset, but I understand it can be tough to watch, but I wouldn't say it's tough to watch a whole game because the Kings tend to turn it on at some point. So I don't think it was tough to watch last night as a whole game. I think it was tough in spots. That Mavs game, like I said, and I was in the building for that one, if Keon doesn't make that crazy three-pointer to end the first quarter, they were getting booed. They were for sure getting booed. So that one was a little bit different because you literally were missing 4 starters. But last night, I wouldn't call that a tough watch at all. All this talk about Mike Brown as we start to close the chapter on Mike Brown and the decision that was made and Doug Christie, it did get me thinking. And I guess I'm trying to figure out from a front office and ownership perspective, is there any way that they didn't make the right move, right? What would it take for them to regret moving off of Mike Brown? Because if you feel like this team has hit a ceiling, this team is no longer listening to Mike Brown, does it actually matter what Doug Christie does? Right? Because if they don't play well for the rest of the season, and whether they make a move or not, maybe they decide that Doug Christie isn't the guy, or they decide that he does. Does that really have any bearing on Mike Brown? I mean, is there any world where, for all the talk and some fans have accused media for having a soft spot for Mike Brown and maybe not being as objective on the situation because they like Mike Brown or have a relationship with Mike Brown? I didn't have a relationship with Mike Brown. I covered him a bit when I was in the Bay. I probably talked to him outside of press conferences once, so maybe twice. So I didn't really, in interviews, we had him on the show during media day, so I didn't really know Mike Brown like that as far as other media members, but some fans have accused media of being a little bit too Mike Brown fanish versus Kings fanish, even though media is not supposed to be fans per se anyway. But when you look at where the Kings maybe are going, is there any world where nobody has really said the Kings are going to regret this, right? Because you fire a coach like Kyle Shanahan, for example. And I know someone's ears are ringing right now. Kyle Shanahan, by the way, got into it. We didn't get to it. Maybe we'll get to it tomorrow. But Kyle Shanahan got into it with everyone's favorite Niners reporter, Grant Cohn. And Grant asked him, how would he assess his season? Did he do a good job or not? And it went a little viral, Kyle Shanahan's response. Clearly, they have a back and forth relationship there. But Kyle Shanahan, when there was talk about Kyle Shanahan being on the hot seat and the Niners possibly moving on, most people, or a lot of people, I should say, said, oh, you can't do that. You probably won't find a better coach, which in turn means that the Niners will regret that, right? But a funny situation is Andy Reid, for all of the success that he had with the Eagles, do the Eagles regret moving on from Andy Reid? They won a Super Bowl after him. Really one of the most all's well that ends well situations. They've been to a couple Super Bowls. They won a Super Bowl. Andy Reid has won multiple Super Bowls. So I don't think the Eagles necessarily regretted moving off of Andy Reid.
And it was more so they kind of had to. Also, there was a situation at the start of the season where Andy Reid's son, who was a coach on the team, had died before the season had started, and that was messy. But when Andy Reid left, everyone in the, you know how Klay Thompson got that standing ovation when he came back? They did that with Andy Reid. Everyone in the organization gathered in a mess hall and basically gave Andy Reid a send-off, and that never happens in this sports world.
So obviously there are a lot of parallels between Andy Reid and Kyle Shanahan, and Andy Reid was with the Eagles for a very long time. Kyle Shanahan has not been with the Niners for that long, but I feel like a lot of people that are not on the train of move on from Kyle Shanahan, whether they are in the media or fans or not fans, the Niners will regret this and why would you regret something? Because it's going to be hard to find a coach as good as Kyle Shanahan. For everyone that is upset about moving on from Mike Brown or the way they moved on from Mike Brown is a different conversation as far as I'm concerned, but simply moving on from Mike Brown. Anyone that is upset about moving on from Mike Brown, is anyone worried that you moved on from Mike Brown because you won't be able to find a guy or a coach as good as Mike Brown? And I don't know, as much as people like Mike Brown, I don't know how many fans are worried about finding someone as good as Mike Brown. It was just more of it's not really Mike Brown's fault, and the roster isn't very good, and all those things can be true, but is anybody, oh man, they moved on from Mike Brown, I'm worried because they won't be able to find a coach as good? I'm sure those people are out there, and I'm not trying to understate what Mike Brown has done, but when you look at the Kyle Shanahans of the world, or you could even throw a Mike Tomlin out there, and Mike Tomlin has been on the hot seat in the past, not this season because I think they really overachieved, but can we move on from this guy because we're worried that we're not going to be able to find somebody better? Now, NFL is different than the NBA, but I do think that as much as people weren't fans of the move, nobody was necessarily feeling like you couldn't find a coach as good as Mike Brown somewhere.
Well, I think that's complicated because based on, 9 different NBA coaches publicly criticizing the Sacramento Kings of how they handled the Mike Brown firing.
But that's how they handled it.
But some were also saying, Mike didn't deserve to be fired and things. There were 4 or 5 different reasons why the half dozen to 10 coaches were criticizing the Kings.
Right.
But the Kings aren't exactly a hot ticket in terms of people saying, like, I really want to go coach the Kings,
also
especially
true.
Because there's the uncertainty of De'Aaron Fox as the new coach.
Yeah.
I remember when Stan Van Gundy took the Pelicans job a few years ago. This was after they had just gotten rid of Anthony Davis and had Zion. He thought he was taking over a team that was trying to compete, and then they immediately traded Drew Holiday, and he was gone like 6 months later because he was like, that wasn't what I signed up for. So the coach who's coming in doesn't know whether Fox is staying or leaving. Sacramento doesn't have the greatest reputation across the league. Yeah, it's probably going to be hard to find a coach willing to come to Sacramento as Mike Brown was when he got hired, which was the associate head coach of the defending NBA champions, moving to Sacramento to become a head coach. I don't think they're going to find that situation, but it seems like the Kings are kind of trying to give Doug Christie every opportunity in the world to succeed.
Well, with all that you just said, it does kind of line up that, well, if they're willing to move on from Mike Brown in a situation where, based on the market, based on now De'Aaron Fox, the next hot head coach, if they have choices, not sure that Sacramento would be at the top of their list. So that's why you hire internally with a guy that you feel really good about and feel like Doug is literally Sacramento.
Yeah, and I think it's not so. You talked earlier about maybe they needed a local person to be the coach. I think it's more so that guy specifically and what he's bringing to the table. But I will also bring up the point, it doesn't matter in a world where JJ Redick goes from podcasting to coaching, but it's like Doug Christie was doing afternoons on this radio station 3 years ago and is now the head coach of the Sacramento Kings, which if you want to do an open coaching search, that's fine. is Doug going to come back and say that's the best coach for the job if they choose to do an open coaching search in April once the season's over?
Yeah, it'll be fascinating. And again, if they are decent this season, I think those are the toughest situations, right? If they're decent. If they're really good, you rock with Doug. If they're really bad, I mean, maybe you still rock with Doug and give him another chance. But if they're kind of right in the middle to where it's, hey, maybe with somebody with more experience can take them there, that is where I think the Kings can go in a lot of different directions, and all the memories that they're creating right now. And it's especially with the fact of who it is. It's not somebody that has no connection. I mean, you're going to move on from Doug Christie and you put him in this situation, it'd have to be pretty bad, or there'd have to be a really good reason.
Yeah, they would be setting Doug up to not succeed. I'm not saying to fail, but they're setting him up to not succeed if they then turn around and do an open coaching search, which under most circumstances I advocate for. I have no idea what makes a good coach. So if I were ever hiring, I would do a giant coaching search with dozen candidates and sit down interviews and stuff like that, just because I have no idea what makes a good coach. But this is a super unique situation that the Kings are stepping into right now, in the sense that they were rocking and rolling just 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Moved on from the third winningest coach in franchise history, most people can agree prematurely, and installed in place the guy who is a former player, broadcaster, assistant coach for the franchise that he's now assuming the head coaching job for.
Well, might not know what makes a good coach, but we know what makes a good host, and that is one Whitey Gleason. He's back, and he joins us right after the break. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
On the move? Got somewhere to be?
Take Sacramento Kings basketball with you. The Sacktown Sports app will let you stay connected to your passion. Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with the Sacktown Sports app.
A new Honda? Nice. Well, it was like this. It was a super hot day, so we all stopped for some ice cream. When bam, the AC went out. My dad started sweating and was all, man, I stink. And my brother was like, I hate this car. And my mom was all, I'm dying in here. Then I said, it's time to call Stockton Honda. Then Dad was like, honey, you're right. I knew you were my favorite. And just like that, Stockton Honda to the rescue. StocktonHonda.com.
With NBA League Pass, you can keep up with the whole league.
Wait, is this for real?
For real.
So I can choose from so many live games?
Yeah, up to 4 with multi-view.
And watch my favorite players dunk?
From every angle, home or away.
Wow, unbelievable.
Believe it, kid. With NBA League Pass, it's all possible. NBA League Pass, your home for streaming hoops.
Only select out-of-market games available and local blackout restrictions apply. Additional charges and other conditions may apply. Visit NBA.com/subscriber agreement for full terms and conditions.
When an overwhelmed injury victim calls Ashton or Price, we immediately remove their legal burden and introduce them to the very best medical care in the region. They focus on their health, and we handle all the rest. When they reach the end of their medical journey and are reunited with happiness and hope, we unleash our decades of legal experience to obtain maximum compensation. We are real, local, experienced litigators, and snappy dressers too. Consultation's free, and there's never a fee until we win.
Remember, for the best advice, don't think twice. Call Ashton and Price.
There's no better time than now to get yourself into a brand new Jeep, because it's Jeep Adventure Days at Sacramento Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, offering the best deals in town and a selection other dealers are jealous of. Stop on by. They're just off of Business 80 across from Hagen Oaks Golf Complex. Sacramento Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram.
Your home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
Sacktown Sports.
Get Allen Stiles on the air drums. Yeah.
I had to let that last part. I love this song. With arms wide open.
Wrong song.
Well, Whitey, it's good to have you back, man.
Thanks.
I'll tell you this much. I don't know. I get like this sometimes where there are so many different things going through my mind.
Why do you insult me then?
What are you talking about?
From the jump, you just compared Foo Fighters to Creed, and then you just try to gloss over that like, oh, it's nothing.
What do you mean, Creed? I just heard on the radio, Creed had their biggest year touring ever this
good
year.
for them, but they're not Foo Fighters. But Allen wants to mix them up there and then just, oh, hey, Whitey, what's up?
But you know that's part. So on the morning show when we do crosstalk, when we do celebrity birthdays, sometimes, well, whether if it's an actor, I'll say a wrong movie on purpose.
Oh, that's funny.
And it took a while for Chris Verlot to catch on, and it was ticking him off because he's such a big movie person. Right, so now I do that with you with rock bands.
Gotcha.
So I just told you the bit, so now the bit's dead.
Some of it wouldn't bother me at all, but Foo Fighters, Creed.
I think he definitely is just trying to play this off right now.
There you go. No, I'm not trying to play it off.
We'll come together. We'll put a game together. Is this Foo Fighters or Creed?
Well, I wouldn't get it right, but I knew it wasn't. I didn't know the artist. I knew it wasn't that song, but I knew it was close enough. So we're kind of matching, by the way.
No, not at all. Right?
Yeah,
not at all.
Yeah, Whitey's is like Winnie the Pooh yellow. Yours is
yours is like Winnie's Pooh.
Wow. Honey.
Yeah.
Honey, sweet honey. What was it? Hot honey Jones. Whitey, you've been gone for a little bit.
Well, I was at the game last night, which not everyone in this room can say.
I wasn't.
Right.
I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah.
I wasn't there.
I know you weren't there.
Did you sit in my seat?
No, I did not.
Did somebody sit in my seat?
Not that I know of.
Okay,
I think Frankie just used it for, storage.
Wow.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, you got to see a W, got to see the first beam. I'm very excited to tune into what you guys are going to talk about, because obviously you have so much to talk about, because
we're going to talk about Oregon's loss.
There you go.
Yeah.
And they got spanked. All of the changes that have happened with the Kings. Obviously, you have time and you're going to go over all of it. So I will fast forward here a little bit. How would you assess Coach Christie so far?
Well, if you're just going to look at what they've done since he's been here and how difficult it is to be an interim coach, you'd have to say he's done a really good job.
Mm-hmm.
But the larger issue is, in what direction does a franchise decide to head here? Obviously, they're going to, to me, there's 4 ways you can go here.
Okay.
And I'm not saying these are good ways or bad ways, just looking at it rationally. What could you do? To me, you could kind of stay the course, maybe upgrade a little bit, but hope that this team can reach the potential that you thought it had. You could trade Fox and still try to be relevant this year. You could go all in on this year with Fox and trade future picks and, quote unquote, mortgage the future, try to save this year, or you could tear it all down. To me, those are the 4 ways you can go. And I don't think they want to tear it all down. I don't think they want to trade Fox. So it's going to be either, to me, just kind of stay the course and upgrade, or go all in on this year, which is what I'm hoping they do with Cam Johnson.
Yeah, and Sam Amick was on the morning show, and he essentially said that the Nets are asking for a little bit too much as far as the Kings are concerned. Evan Sidery, and I don't know if this is confirmed, but Evan Sidery essentially alluded to it being Trey Lyles, Kevin Huerter, and Devin Carter possibly being the holdup. And to me, that can't be the holdup.
There's got to be draft capital in that too, right?
Well, I guess, yeah. Hey, if we give you Devin, it would have to be something like the Nets that's not to say that, good point, that Devin Carter is untouchable, but if we give you Devin, we ain't giving you a pick, and the Nets saying, we want Devin and whatever.
Yeah.
And the Kings saying, well, no, that's not too much. So it's not necessary. We don't know if Devin is the holdup. It just seems like the Kings are trying to give them that new version of the Toyota Corolla.
That would make sense if it's true that the Nets are looking for multiple firsts. Well, if they consider, okay, Devin Carter's like a first, he hasn't played yet, so him and a first rounder, that would make sense. And then the Kings go, no, we don't want to give you both.
Right.
I think I might, but I understand their reluctance.
Yeah. As far as Cam Johnson and Keegan Murray are concerned, I've watched Cam Johnson, and I've tried to watch more as these rumblings and whispers have grown. Would you be concerned at all? Everyone's already worried about Keegan's growth with DeMar DeRozan kind of taking away some of his offensive action and adding to the defensive action. Would you be worried about any redundancy with Cam and Keegan, or maybe Keegan taking another step back? Would you care, to be completely honest, or do you think they wouldn't play that much together?
I thought your buddy over there, Kyle, made a great point earlier when you talked about this. And he said, look, if you had Cam, he can play 4. Keegan plays more 3. I don't see a problem there. I think you guys were talking about this too. Some people compare what happened or what is going on with Keegan to what happened to Harrison Barnes. Think about Harrison Barnes. Even though last year, some games he scored a lot, then other games he disappeared, he still shot the ball well. Even when he wasn't taking a lot of shots, he shot the ball well. That's what Keegan has to do, whether he plays more or less, gets more shots, fewer shots, no matter how Cam Johnson coming here might impact his role in the offense. He just got to make shots. But Cam Johnson, I think, would be a great addition. I think ultimately it'd be good for Keegan. I think it would let some pressure off of him. And I've wanted Cam, everyone's talking about Cam Johnson now. And, they're all in on Cam Johnson. Gee, I don't know. I've wanted Cam Johnson since they lost to the Warriors in the playoffs. And he was a free agent that year, restricted, and the Nets snapped him right up. But I wanted him then. I think he's a really good fit because he's got length. He can play multiple positions, defend multiple positions, and he can shoot. And that's what the Kings need.
Yeah, I think people have kind of slept on his defense a little bit just from some of the things that I've read and seen. And look, ultimately, you hear about a name so much. I think it goes from this is the guy we want to, okay, maybe we're overvaluing this guy, and we're seeing those ebbs and flows with Cam Johnson. I think if you're the Nets, and Sam Amick said this, the Kings are hoping that the Nets lower the price. And I'm just wondering, well, why would they do that? I mean, unless other teams leave the conversation, I would think a team like the Lakers, I think, left the conversation. I would assume that, there were about 10 teams connected. So even if one leaves, I don't know if I would say the Warriors did or not. The Warriors didn't want to give up Kuminga for Cam Johnson and Dennis Schroeder. Do they come back into the conversation? We're going to see the Warriors on Sunday. How many? I just don't see enough teams dropping out of the convo for the Kings to get a bargain. It ain't going to be a bargain.
I think you answered your own question based on what Anthony Slater has told us. He's going to join us today, by the way, about 3:30, because we've been talking to him, of course, over the last few weeks about Cam Johnson and the asking price. He says things can change, and if other teams start to look at that and go, we're going in another way, then the price comes down. But the Kings are going to have to be really patient. To their credit, they have been to this point. But, just the fan in me is like, let's get this done.
Yeah.
You only have, 40-something games left, whatever it is, fewer than 50 now, right?
How worried are you? I was very worried last week. Maybe, I don't even want to say less worried, but every time they win, you feel a little bit better. How worried are you about the De'Aaron Fox thing?
Not really worried. My concern isn't so much that he'll leave. He may, but my concern is that this drags on and there's a cloud of uncertainty. What they have to, he's in this year, it appears. He's in for the rest of this year. So got to focus on that and then reassess in the summer. And if it looks like he wants out, then you just have to quickly say, okay, and move on from that, pivot from that, Yeah. Because he may leave, but I still think you're in position potentially to deal with that. You just can't let it be something that lingers over the franchise.
Yeah,
for a long time.
The biggest thing for me is what De'Aaron had been saying on podcasts and different interviews where it was all quite broad, where it's just we got to compete at a high level. And okay, well, what exactly does that mean? I wonder. And everything came out about De'Aaron really being an advocate for Mike Brown and wanting to keep Mike Brown or not move on from Mike Brown. I wonder how that meeting with Rich Paul and Monty McNair went. Were there how specific can you get, or if it's just a feeling, right? And we made the joke, if you're in a relationship and someone's like, I don't know if it's going to work. Okay, well, what can I do to fix it? And I don't know. I'll just kind of know when I know. And
Allen has a lot of stories like that, huh, Kyle?
No, I know.
Every time a guy's going to get traded or something, it's like you're in a relationship.
No, that's not true.
You had one the other day that was crazy. I was like, I don't know if that's ever happened to me. But
which one was that? Which one was
it? Was something from you in high school.
Yeah, I heard that too.
What do you mean? You were listening on vacation?
Sure. I think it was before I was on vacation, if it's the one I'm thinking of.
You had a crazy one. I remember. I was like, I've never been in that situation.
No, and I got roasted for that one. How was your vacation, Whitey?
I was great. Just spent a lot of time with family. So
okay,
good stuff.
That's good. You're feeling.
How about you?
Good. Baby Styles or toddler Styles was a little sick, so she kind of ruined the plans. Very selfish, but
can I hash this out real quick? I think he should keep calling Baby Styles, but you say that she needs to be called Toddler Styles now?
I just would say her name. You know, listeners want to relate to you. Oh, they like to know at least the name of your child.
There will be
otherwise it sounds like a prop or something.
Well, there will be a name reveal at some point. We got to do it up. We're going to sponsor it.
Oh, the name? It's
Yeah, we're going to sponsor it.
Yeah, I'm not going to say it if you don't want to say it. But
you don't even know it.
Sure, I do. She's named after it's Drapera, named after Kyle Draper.
That is not even close.
Arena.
What? So you have Anthony Slater on the show?
Yes, we do.
Anyone else?
Jerry Reynolds, but that's tomorrow. Jerry Reynolds. By the way, he came on Saturday with Emmer and I. And Jerry Reynolds, I asked him, look, could you trade Fox without totally tearing the whole thing down? And he said, you probably could. It's tricky, and you wouldn't get anybody back who's as good as him. But if you could fill a couple of holes, he said you could do it. Not saying you should or that he would want to, but just in theory, that is still an option that I don't think Kings fans should put out of mind.
Well, that's why I keep bringing up the Heat, right? To get into some of the partners. I don't think what the Rockets have would be enough to survive. I don't think what the Spurs have would be enough to survive. Sam Amick brought up the Lakers. Maybe the Lakers would have enough to survive, and they don't want to move off Austin Reeves, so I don't think they would. The Heat, to me, they have enough to try to sell something, because Sabonis, what is he, 28 years old? So he's right in the middle of his prime. So, the Rockets, some of those guys, and I'm not really they can't move off of Jalen Green yet. I'm not really that big of a Jalen Green fan. So I think
I'm surprised you don't like him that much, because all he wants to do is shoot the ball.
Wow.
Well, at that point, just get Jordan Poole, who we found out today, yes. Whitey. Jordan Poole has more votes for the All-Star game than De'Aaron Fox.
That's unfortunate.
I mean, he's been playing really well.
How do you know? Are you watching Wizards games on League Pass?
No, but
you sicko.
He's my guy.
He's a Poolie.
And if you package Kyle Kuzma and Jordan, okay, I'm not doing it. What we are doing is the Drive Guys coming up next. Whitey Gleason, Kyle Draper, Jay Johnson. They have you coming up, and they will take you up to the end of your day. Is this Creed now?
Creed or Foo Fighters? You make the call.
This is Creed.
You are correct.
Yeah.
There you go.
I think you know this one?
That's Foo.
Okay, he's got it now.
That's the Foo Fighters.
See the difference?
I got the ear for it. Thanks to all the callers, texters, sack chatters. Drive Guys got you next. Thanks to Kyle as always. Until tomorrow, secure the bag. Like me.
Positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless